The skipper himself, Joe Root, has looked rock solid from the minute that he walked out there. His technique has looked pure and still, not as much movement as we've seen of late, which is a great sign for the England captain. But it's almost to that stage, Isha, that the next hour is going to be crucial. I mean, we're only on to the third session of the test match, and you feel if India knock over 2 or 3 quick ones, which you can on this kind of surface, they'll be ahead of the game. But if England can have another partnership like we've just seen with Joe and Johnny Bairstow, they'll be ahead of the game. So it's on a knife edge. But
you also wonder what it might do psychologically at the start of a tour, with England lacking a bit of confidence in the batting department, especially after New Zealand. Here comes Shami then to complete his over. Just bowled 2 of that one as he comes in now to Lawrence, who's driving to wide mid-off, no run.
You get a sense with Dan Lawrence that he's confident. He doesn't look the kind of chap that gets too perturbed by a crowd or the 3 lines on his chest. He just watches the ball and tries to score. It could be also his downfall, because he might play 1 or 2 freaky shots a bit too soon. But I always find his style of play quite entertaining to watch. You're never quite sure what's going to arrive.
He's upright and still in his crease as he now crouches and gets across to the off stump and defends back down the pitch. Good length delivery from Mohammad Shami on off stump. 2 slips in a gully in position for him. There's a point and a wide mid-off, mid-on Shardul Thakur there. And close mid-wicket. And someone in front of a square leg umpire, as well as a fine leg down to that short boundary, as Shami circles at the top of his mark, coming in on an angle now, shuffles in past the umpire, bowls to Lawrence down the leg side, gets right across. He almost looks to play it, but into Rishabh Pant's gloves off the hip. Dan Lawrence gets so far across but misses it altogether.
Yeah, it's going to be a long session as well. We'll certainly be using the 2.5 hours available. 39.1 overs remaining. And the over rate's ridiculous, isn't it?
What would you do? How would you penalise them?
I'd just shoot one fielder. It's the only way, Andy, isn't it? Get rid of one. I'm a sniper on the roof.
Lawrence edges down the leg side. Mohammad Shami has got him. The ball before, he nearly got bat on it. This one he does, and Rishabh Pant shuffling to his left. That's angled onto the leg stump from Mohammad Shami. He's moved across and looking to work it fine down to the boundary. And Dan Lawrence is out for a duck, 138 for 5.
Well, you called the ball before, Ish, where he kind of just dangled his bat outside of the leg stump. And sometimes you say it's a real misfortune to get a feather down the leg side. With that technique and his head falling over, you'd have to say that teams will target that. It's quite an area where you look at that technical side of the way Dan Lawrence plays, you would just every now and again fire one on around that leg stump just outside and know that he'll be kind of just playing the ball to leg with a great chance of getting a feather down the leg side. So the perfect start for India after tea. He's just that kind of player that he is a little bit unorthodox with his technique, Dan Lawrence, that the first 10 or 15 balls when he goes out there, you do kind of watch from behind the curtain. You kind of, is he still out there? Has he survived? And when he gets in, he then starts to look more confident and composed, but he's certainly going to have trouble early in his innings with that technique that he has right now.
Well, there's a cheer in the ground for Jos Buttler, who is striding out to the middle now. You're not generally watching from behind a curtain when you see Jos Buttler stride out, but he didn't play in the New Zealand test matches. His last game was against India in Chennai before he came home, and hasn't played a lot of red ball cricket lately, but he will just want to try and bring a sense of calm to proceedings here.
Yeah, the problem, Isha, with Johnny Bairstow played nicely, but it's his first class innings of the summer, and that would have taken a great deal out of him, batting for that amount of time, leaving the ball, defending. To get big scores in test match cricket, you're talking of batting 6 to 7 hours. And is it possible for players that have not played any first class cricket, not been used to batting for 2 or 3 hours at a time, getting 100, getting nice 60s, 70s regularly, Is it possible for them to just come out in a test match under this amount of pressure and suddenly switch on to bat for such a long period of time?
Bumrah from the pavilion end to the England captain, who guides a ball out to deep point. Man positioned about 15 metres off the boundary there is he takes the one. We'll move to 53, 139 for 5.
You should just on the sniper. I was only joking. I don't really.
Do you think that there are a lot of people that would have taken it literally?
Yeah, well, in this world, yeah, possibly. The ICC, I don't really think there should be someone on a roof with a gun to shoot one of the fielders.
Just a taser, maybe.
Yeah, well, taser and then runs. So, 25 runs or 50 runs at the end of the 80 overs. If you've not bowled your overs in that allotted time, runs on that given innings.
Andy, I'll get to you in just a second as Jos Buttler is setting up to Jasprit Bumrah, who shuffles forwards now into his stuttery run-up. Buttler drives to a diving mid-off to his left, nearly gets it through for his first run. And that was his first ball. Andy?
Dan Lawrence has had 4 innings this summer, 3 ducks, 2 second ball ducks against New Zealand, a 4-ball duck today, and an outstanding 81 not out. So rather mixed fortunes for the young Essex batsman Mohammed Shami, now 3 for 18 from 14 overs today.
Buttler taps his bat down. Back and across, struck on the pads, nearly trickles back onto the stumps. He gets his left boot in the way in time.
Good foot movement, left boot, stopped it there, going back on, I reckon, Ish. Yeah, you're looking at you look at Rory Burns out for naught. There's pressure on Rory Burns at the top of the order. Dom Sibley batted a session for 18, then got out quite cheaply. Jack Crawley at number 3 looked okay, played quite nicely, but again out for 27. And now Don Lawrence. So 4 of the top 5 that are really, or top 6 that are under the spotlight in the Test team have all failed once again.
Bumrah in again, beats the edge of Jos Buttler. Back of a length delivery outside the off stump. He has a little flirt at it as it goes through to Rishabh Pant.
You know, from being around the Test game for such a long period of time, that pressure just builds and builds and builds, and the next innings becomes a huge innings for all 4 of those players, because they've had the failures of India, they've had the failures of those 2 tests against New Zealand, and it just builds up in the minds. Got to sleep on it tonight. Will they bat tomorrow? Will they bat the day after?
Here comes Bumrah. Buttler defends to the offside. Good length delivery, barely any foot movement, but just gets in and behind it.
It's not easy, but Test cricket isn't easy. It's the toughest format because you get so much time to think. Such a long week, the Test week, 2 or 3 days of preparation. You've been at the ground, netting, practicing, you feel great, and all of a sudden you go out in the middle and obviously the crowd's in, the field's set, the bowlers are charging into you, and it's just how do you deal with that pressure.
2 slips in the gully in position as Buttler works the ball to mid-wicket. Slightly straighter on that occasion, Jasprit Bumrah. Really good over from him. 139 for 5. 52 overs have been bowled, and India picking up wickets around the breaks. Dom Sibley early after lunch, then final ball before tea. Johnny Bairstow was removed. Dan Lawrence out second ball, looking to clip the ball down to fine leg. 139 for 5, as I mentioned, and we talked about that kind of psychological impact on the team going forwards into the rest of this series. Before I come to you on that, plenty of cricket going on at the moment, and we're across it all on the BBC. There's Royal London Cup commentary on the BBC Sport website and app, and if you want the 100, there's the Birmingham Phoenix and the Oval Invincibles now on the BBC Sport website and app. The Phoenix are 51 for 4 after 50 balls. That's the women. Shafali Verma out for 16. And the men's 100 game tonight will be on 5 Live at 7. Shami bowls to Root, who allows a wide ball to pass on the bounce to Punt.
Yeah, and it's going to be an ongoing problem, is the batting. It can't be that Joe Root is the sole kind of contributor of big scores. You go back to the start of the year, in that first Test match in India, following on from Sri Lanka, where you take out Joe Root's runs in Sri Lanka, he's such a good player that you expect him to be consistent, but you can't keep dipping into his well to get the team out of trouble.
Shami bowls to Root, plays it late, gets right on top of it and defends it to Gully. Head over the ball as he comes forwards, no run. And I was talking to Alistair about it a little bit earlier, about how little red ball cricket that the players have played. Dan Lawrence, Joe Root, Joss Buttler, Johnny Bairstow, not faced a red ball in a pressure situation since that last New Zealand test. Joss Buttler didn't even play in that test series, as well as Bairstow. That beats the edge of Root, looking to defend the ball just outside the off stump.
Yeah, but
sometimes,
I mean, I do think the schedule's mad that they haven't played any, obviously, first-class cricket leading into this huge test series, but they played lots of 4-day cricket leading into the 2 against New Zealand and failed. So with good preparation, they still fail. Sometimes you look at players and go, maybe they're not good enough. Maybe they're at this level and it's just a step too far for some of them.
Root defends, a ball angled in this time, just hovering in the air, and then a little bit of shape into the England captain as he defends back to mid-on.
And the problem that England have, because they've taken this group of players so long and so close to this big series, obviously leading into a huge series in the winter, is when do you change, and is it too late to change to bring new players in to develop that team culture, or do you go back to some senior-ish players, i.e. David Malan, James Vince, who have done okay in Test cricket, haven't set the world alight.
Root defends and dabs the ball to Gully, no run. It's like the 90s all over again.
It's really hard to kind of give them advice on what to do. You hope that these young players learn and get better, and that would be the one frustration, I think, from the coaching department and the management, is that they don't seem to be getting better and learning and adapting. It seems to be similar kind of mistakes, similar kind of situations, and that would be the disappointment from England management's point of view.
Root drives past extra cover out to the deep cover boundary. There is a man at deep point, but he can't catch it. So the ripple of Root goes out around this ground here at Trent Bridge. They enjoyed that one. Root to 57, 143 for 5 at the end of the over.
Is there anything better than that? I mean, you give me a ramp in the 100, or someone whacking out the ground. Liam Livingstone whacking one out of Henley, but
the roll off Matt van der Merwe.
Yeah, that one. You can't beat that.
No.
You can't beat that stroke. The stroke he played earlier off Siraj through the covers, pure cover drive. Now this one, it wasn't quite a half volley. Everything perfect. You could just watch that all day, Andy, couldn't you? Just keep replaying it. You don't need anything more in your life.
Got to bring an artistic impression coefficient to Test cricket. Get an extra couple of runs with it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you should have judges on the sideline as soon as they put up the 10s. Get a couple more.
Might bring Sibley's scoring rate down a bit more.
I tell you who's been doing some really amazing art. Paulette Farrell on Twitter.
Oh yes.
Done a couple of really lovely.
Carlos had one.
Yeah, depictions of Carlos Brathwaite as Buttler drives uppishly. Point diving to his left. Jadeja, it can only be one man.
Best Indian fielder of all time.
Stops the ball from racing away to the boundary, but not a lot of foot movement there again from Buttler, just reaching for that one from Jasprit Bumrah. It was a good length outside the off stump. It was in the air for a little bit.
His feet were stuck in super glue there, Rich. His feet did not move. His hands just went. It was a length ball. His head went at the wrong time. Just completely lack of rhythm. Brilliant fielding. Magnificent dive.
Who do you reckon has the best cover drive in world cricket at the moment?
Good question.
Buttler, still in his crease, backing across and beats the edge. And Rishabh Pant looks up quizzically. He doesn't know what's happened there off the pitch, and I don't know if it went in between bat and body. Joss, yeah, I'm with you on that one, I think. No, it was the outside of the bat.
Yeah, Virat Kohli, I reckon.
Yeah.
Joe Root.
Babar Azam.
Quite a few, actually.
You had a pretty good one.
Yep, back in the day. I had to edge the odd one through the covers.
Lights are on here at Trent Bridge, although it's still quite a lot of sunlight as Bumrah has passed the stumps to Butler, tentatively defending back down the pitch. Good length.
He's just got to hang in here, Josh Butler, because his timing's all out of sync. His head's just kind of leaning over to the offside. We've seen it in the past that head goes over to the offside and then his foot follows, and then that LBW comes into the equation. He's somehow got to stay a bit more upright, a bit more balanced, get his weight more in his heels and get his head going back towards the ball rather than across the crease.
Butler sets himself up, taps his back down now, looking down the track at Bumrah, fast approaching, bowls and allows that to go. Good length delivery, but that is a whippy action that we see from Jasprit Bumrah as he turns to stride back to the top of his mark. 143 for 5 here. If you're just tuning in, England winning the toss, electing to bat first. Green tinge to this surface at the start of the day, but that has kind of disappeared now. It's very beige. A lot drier than some people may have first thought. Yeah, lights on and a fair amount of cloud cover. There's a lot of blue sky around as well as Bumrah steps forwards, now building up into his stuttery run-uppers. That's inside edged, but through to Rishabh Pant on the floor. I think he got some bat on there. It was that full delivery that he every now and then bowls. We know he's got a good Yorker, but he likes to surprise batters in Test cricket with that full searing Yorker. In fact, he misses it altogether. Josh Butler trying to get the bat down in time. No foot movement again. Very close to the stumps as Butler is 0 from 10 deliveries faced. Here comes Bumrah again. Butler defends, looking to turn it leg side, but then kind of stops himself and plays it out in front of him for a dot.
I'm just quite happy he's not on strike. He's struggling. Everything about his play, he's just not in sync. You can see that. He's got that kind of look in his eyes that he's looks like he's not batted for a few months. Well, he hasn't.
Yeah.
It might take him a while just to get in sync here, Josh Butler. Maybe down the non-strikers end's the best way. Just watch a bit of Joe. 22 yards for a few deliveries and try and just go back in your mind of what it feels like to be playing well. That's what you do when you're at your middle. Just try and get something in your memory bank.
Mohammed Shami from the Radcliffe Road end to Joe Root, who defends to the offside, steps forwards, but then it's his bat that really gets out in front. Angled bat. He's had good weight distribution today and just waiting on it, head over the ball. It's
as good as I've seen Joe against Seam for a long while. I mean, spin is always outstanding. He's huge amount of runs in Sri Lanka and India was generally against spin bowling. Against Seam, he's just had a little bit of a vulnerability of late, but today he's been exceptional.
It's a deep point out to him as Shami comes in again to Root, who tucks this away down to the short fine leg boundary and will just pick up the one as it reaches the man down there very quickly indeed. He goes to 58, 144 for 5. That was that one that Shami's been getting to go, the in-swinger. He's on 3 for 23 into his 16th over, Mohammed Shami. He's been the pick of the bowlers. No Ishant Sharma, of course, but they have tremendous depth, the Indian team. Mohammed Shami can just shift up to open the bowling with Jasprit Bumrah. They've got Mohammed Suraj, who I think has been a little bit unlucky today. He's bowled in some good areas, but England have been able to find some boundaries off him. There's Umesh Yadav waiting in the wings as well as Shami bowls, this time the away swinger, which Butler allows to go through.
Yeah, he's just changing his guard here, Josh Butler. He looks like he's taken an off-stump guard, not to bat on off-stump. I think he just wants to know where his off-stump is in terms of a visual down on the floor. He's all over the place. I can see it's just so obvious as a batter that he's not quite right. He's just trying to find some kind of sync to get himself in the right zone. You just feel that if the ball's up, he probably will go for the big drive, which could be a big risk against Shami with the swing.
Shami bowls to Butler, who pats the ball down into the ground on off stump.
Did you ever do anything? I used to do things like this when I was completely out of kind of rhythm. Just do something, just to try and give yourself a visual to get yourself in the here and now. I used to mark myself out of 10 for every ball.
Really?
Just to stay here and now rather than think about what's been and what's potentially going to come. Just try and mark yourself out of 10 for every ball, and you start by getting 3s out of 10. Need a 4, give me a 5.
I was never in long enough, Michael. Shabby. There's bowling to Butler, who drives to mid-off. He wants to play that forcefully, but then stops himself again. No run.
That was a bit
so threes out of 10, and then did you gradually?
Yeah, well, what I felt that it did, particularly when there's big pressure moments, been out of form, and rightfully so, many journalists writing you off and saying potentially should be out the side. That's what you have to deal with. But sometimes you can think about that so much that you forget to watch the ball and just play the game, and it's about playing every single ball.
Shoulder shimmy from Jos Buttler as he allows that one to go past the off stump through to Rishabh Pant at the end of the over. He survived that over. 144 for 5, but he is still yet to get off the mark. He's faced 15 deliveries,
and that's fine, and that's what he just has to do, get to the end of the over and then go and speak to his captain and just hopefully get to the end of the next over and just tick it off. You'll get a run or two eventually, and you'll suddenly find a bit of rhythm and a bit of form, and you'll start to pick the ball up out of the bowler's hand a bit quicker.
Did you ever score yourself 10 out of 10 as you answer that question? Dan Norcross is going to come in.
Yeah, once or twice. It took a while when I was out of form. I just felt it was it's so important to stay in the here and now as a player. That was one way of me just staying in the here and now, but this is tough for England. The Indian seamers are bowling nicely. Afternoon, Dan.
Good afternoon. Here is Bumrah, started a new over, and he's played and missed out again by Butler. He could have had him out, I think, 4 times the previous over he'd bowled him. It's Root. I beg your pardon. He could have had Root out once in this over. He could have had Butler 4 times in the previous over.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing anything more than it was. I mean, the lights are on. There's an element of cloud cover.
Oh,
it's just a bit of movement, but there's been movement there all day. Just enough movement.
Wow. That shot by Root was one of Butler's plays where just stuck in the crease and just pushing at a ball back over lane. And this time Root gets some bat on it and guides it down to the deep third boundary, but Jadeja runs round to field. He's at a curious position at deep backward point, about 25 yards in from the boundary. They get through for a single, Root to 59. England 145 for 5.
Yeah, this is not going to be easy for Butler against Jasprit Bum with that angle, that strange action, that ability to get the ball coming back into the stumps, and also to get that odd ball to go away from the outside edge.
Really testing period for England this, after tea on the first day, having lost 2 wickets either side of tea. Bairstow LBW, then Lawrence strangled down the leg side as Bumrah is in. And Butler drives and misses a ball in the channel. 88 miles per hour, that delivery. Rueful smile from Kohli. And Butler is yet to get off the mark. He's just looked a little bit desperate here, just to feel some bat on ball, Michael.
Yeah, he's just not in any kind of rhythm, and it's I don't think you can get out of rhythm by just having a dash. You've just got to hang in there. And that ball wasn't there to be driven, it was just a length ball.
16 deliveries he's now faced, Butler, without scoring. Unusual, you would think, to take that long for a player like Butler to get off the mark. We'll get Andy onto that. As Bumrah runs in, and he lets this go by. It started really wide and sort of boomeranged in a little bit towards Rishabh Pant, the keeper, who takes it around about shin height. The lights are indeed on. We've got some thicker cloud, but it's high cloud. I don't think it's rain-bearing particularly. It's just going to make things a little bit more murky in this evening session. But in early August, we should be okay to get through to 6:30, you would think, if it doesn't rain. 3 slips and a gully. The slips are much more closely packed together off Bumrah than they were just before tees. Oh, Butler edges and gone. Taken by Pant, who went after another ball in the channel. Wasn't there to drive, and he got a good bit of that. and gave a regulation catch to the keeper. Bumrah's got his man, and Butler's torture is at an end. He goes for a duck. England are tottering here. They're 145 for 6.
Well, that was coming. You could clearly see that Butler was struggling. You know, his balance, everything about his play was just not there. You see there, his hands go towards the ball, his body and his feet don't. It's a good channel. It's a decent delivery, but you know, I think Joss will be back in the dressing room shortly. Have a look at it. He knows he can play that kind of delivery. He just wasn't in any kind of thing. I just think we're looking at players that we're asking them to do things that it's just not possible. You know, you've got Johnny Bairstow playing his first class innings of the summer, and you think, go on Johnny, going back for 6 hours. Well, is it possible? You know, it's a tall order against a quality team and a quality bowling attack in decent, friendly bowling conditions, but just looking at the rhythm of play and the way the batters are batting, there's only Joe Root really. And it's just a common trend, Dan, that this Test match batting lineup, it's generally just Joe Root.
Well, we've talked about it a fair bit, but you know, people who've come into the England team since Joe Root debuted, who average over 40, have played 10 or 20 Test matches. Is there anyone? I mean, is Gary Balance still just about got an average over 40 or not? No. So I wonder if Joe Root's the only one, and that's a damning and frightening statistic, because you know, when did Joe Root make his debut? 2013?
It was late 2012 in India.
Late
the last
2012.
test of 2012. From memory, Hasib Hamid averages just over 40. He's only played 3 tests, so whether you count that not.
When was Sam Curran's last first class innings?
Well, he won't have played for Surrey this season, will he, in the county championship? I don't think.
Is this Sam's first class innings?
I think it may very well be.
This is ridiculous.
Well, it is, but I mean, the same is sort of true for the Indian team as well, although they played an inter-squad game. Well, not quite inter-squad, they played that county game with some of their own squad in it, none of whom got through unscathed, it has to be said. So, round the wicket to the left-handed Sam Curran is Bumrah with his tail up, having got the wicket of Butler. England on 145 for 6, 3 slips are in. And Curran plays at this, moves away from him ever so slightly, and he guides it into the gully region, steers it. And there's no run. End of a successful over for Bumrah. He has 2 for 35. Root 59 playing a pretty much lone hand. I suppose you might say Zach Crawley looked a little more fluent. He's probably had more cricket, hasn't he?
He's played a bit of, obviously, the 100, a bit of 50 over stuff as well against Pakistan. None of them have played any real first-class cricket to know. But as I said to Isha, Dan, that is an excuse and a reasonable one, but they'd played lots of first-class cricket leading into the 2 tests against New Zealand and failed. So even when they'd had a lot of cricket and played 2 games, they still didn't get the big scores. Well, the batter who did have the most was Rory Burns, and he scored the most runs in that series, didn't he? But you're right, I mean, Crawley had played a lot of county cricket and didn't come off. So Siraj is going to come into the attack, and it feels like an attack at the moment for England. India are all over them. They've picked up 3 wickets now, either side of tea. And it's 3 for Melton. Nothing really.
And there are 3 England batters with ducks today: Burns, Lawrence and Butler. Andy.
Sam Curran's last first-class innings was the Gaul test in January against Sri Lanka.
Thank you. Siraj into Root, who gets a really wide ball. He leaves alone. It would have been a one-day wide of the off stump. And it goes through low to punt. There's no run.
More duck stats, of which there have been far too many for anyone's liking today, unless they're Indian fans. That's Josh Butler's duck was the 21st duck by an England top 7 batter this year in Test cricket in just 9 matches.
That a record, Andy?
It's feeling quite recordy. Siraj in, and Root waits for this and plays it into the huge gap that has opened up on the square of the wicket on the offside. There's a deep point in. He moves to 60. They turn over the strike. Curran will have to face his first ball from Siraj.
It's not quite a record, but it's already with England. They still have 7 tests after this one this year.
What have they got to get to beat the record? That's what we all want to know.
The record is 27.
And what are we on?
What year? 98 again?
It was in England in 1998.
And what are they on now?
England's on 21.
So they've got 7 more to get
they could blow this record
it's
out
on,
the
isn't it? Yeah,
They're three-quarters of the way there.
Yeah, they could set something that'll never be beat. That's how they've got to look at it positively. They could be in the history books. This could be tremendous.
I like your optimism that it'll never be beaten.
Never. Get to 40 or something.
3 slips in for Curran, who waits for this, dabs it to the offside. They go through for a quick single, and they make it. A direct hit.
Well, Sam Curran in the series in 2018, he played some gems, didn't he?
Yep.
He changed the course
man of the series.
2 or 3 test matches with...
Yep.
I don't think the situations were quite as bad as this, but maybe they were.
Well,
and he came out and just got England buzzing and got a couple of nice 50s and changed the course of the test match and the test series.
Well, that absolutely... There were a number of thrilling games in that series, weren't there? But there was one, I'm sure England were only 70-odd ahead with 6 wickets down. He got a really important half-century. It feels a bit like that now as Siraj is into route. He pushes into the offside and it's fielded by Rahul in the covers. And there's no run. Michael is going to leave us, having been so infused by that duck stat. You're going to get to use that everywhere, aren't you? They're going to start dreaming of this, the 29th duck that England might get in their top 7.
It's already the joint third most by a team in a calendar year of Test cricket, top 7 ducks.
Look, save it for Vic. He's coming. He's looking really thrilled at this idea. He hasn't brought his notebook because he doesn't have that anymore, sad to say. Siraj is in. Short. And that flies over the head of Root and almost over the head of Punt. Well, it does fly over the head of Punt, but he manages to get 2 hands up to it and prevent it running away for 4 byes. It was a hostile bouncer from Siraj, but one that didn't cause Root any bother. 147 for 6. Yes,
there's a stat that I would have written down.
You would have written down if you were still the correspondent at The Guardian, yes.
Well, what is it? I like a good stat.
Do you want to do it after this ball, Andy? You can give it to Victor after this ball. Here's Siraj short again, pulled really nicely by Root, out from deep back to square leg for 4. The England 150 is up, and the crowd will not be deterred from enjoying themselves despite the disappointments of the last half an hour. England 151 for 6 at the end of that over. Curran has 1, Root 64.
Yes, grand shot.
21 ducks in England's top 7 this year, calendar year.
Is that a record of some sort?
It's on course.
On course.
Only twice has a team in a calendar year had more top 7 ducks. West Indies had 22 in the year 2000 in 14 tests, and England 27 in 16 tests in 1998. So often only 8 and almost a half tests of batting, already 21.
So just 7 more ducks until we can celebrate.
It's a good stat. I would have written it down.
And I miss
all I needed to hear, Vic. That's all I needed.
I miss your notebook, Victor. Have you kept them all?
No, they're illegible, most of them.
Bumrah starts a new over to Sam Curran, and Curran gets turned around by this, gets a thick edge, the ball run down to the third boundary for 4. Kohli goes after it, but jogs after it, and the gum-chewing Curran moves to 5, 155 for 6 with the lights on. What have we made of it, Victor? It's felt like the game has turned not exactly on its head, but England were in a relatively
3 down just before tea.
Yeah.
And a good review, but a late review by Kohli to get rid of Bairstow. Then Josh Butler smashed the 2 balls to fielders, couldn't get a run. And out to an indeterminate shot.
Bumrah is into... Curran beats him on the outside edge from around the wicket. It's a beautiful ball. And it's coming in towards off stump, and then it's straightened, went through to the keeper.
Yeah, it's a terrific delivery.
The seam position on that, you see it on the replay, was absolutely tremendous, just angling towards the slips.
Yeah, well, that slip cordon, it's quite well populated, and it's on red alert there. 3 slips, gully, fine gully. And many more deliveries like that, and they might be in business. He's just Curran cunningly is changing his guard. He's going to bat on off stump then. He's probably saying.
Well, actually, that's sort of what Ollie Pope did.
They all do now. Actually, a lot of the time. I mean, I never quite work it out because it brings brings LBW back into the equation pretty strongly, but still.
Yes, this one might zero in on him as well. It does, and Curran just pushes into the offside, into the covers. And there's no right. Is there anything in the timing of England's wickets? I noted that England lost And we get to the first over of the innings, and then quite near the end of the first session, and quite near the beginning of the second session, right at the end of the second session, right at the beginning of the third session. Is there anything in that concentration? Is it pure coincidence?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think there is a certain tension. You set yourself goals, get to tee. So there is an extra tension perhaps in the last few minutes before a break.
Here comes Bumrah skipping in and beats it again on the outside edge. Curran groping at thin air, and Bumrah is having the time of his life at the moment. He's loving every minute of it. This ball is 57.4 overs old, and it's
darting around.
It's swinging all over the place at the moment.
And it looks like it's conventional swing. I'm just trying to, in the sense that the shiny side is in the traditional place. It's suddenly the clouds have come over, the lights are on, and it's swinging.
It'll be encouragement for some of England's bowlers, but
yes,
not if England are bowled out for under 200. Bumrah with this strange hop, step, skip. He's in, and Curran advances ever so slightly and gets the ball right in the pads. It's in a bit of a tangle when the ball rolls back up the wicket, and there's no run. I cannot emphasise enough just how much this ball is moving around at the moment. It's great to watch. It's great to watch. Really,
that was the in-swinger to the left-hander.
Yeah.
So it's a conventional swing.
His action,
and it's thudded into his pad.
Can you see a difference in the action? I mean, obviously he's turned the ball round there. He's certainly done that. But the action looks
hard, isn't it?
Much the same. Curran waits and then defends a full ball back to Bumrah. Another terrific over from Bumrah. 155 for 6 England. Root has 64. Curran has 5. It's devilishly difficult to bat out there at the moment. The lights are on, the clouds are coming over, and the ball is swinging round corners. Andy, you have your hand poised.
Well, you asked about the longest it's taken Buttler to get off the mark. That's the third time in his career that he's failed to score in his first 15 balls. And in each of those 3 occasions, he's then been out for a duck. A 22-ball duck against West Indies back in April 2015. An 18-ball duck in New Zealand in November 2019, and another 18-ball duck.
It felt inevitable, didn't it, Victor? I mean, when you were watching it, there was something.
His first ball was a half volley, just about, and he smashed it like a tracer bullet to mid-off, who did very well to stop it. It looked like 4 when it left his bat. And then he sliced one. What he also needs to remember is, especially when he's batting, that little dab about 3-4 yards on the offside. Run one, rather like Curran did, and he's off and running.
And he didn't. He started to play at balls that weren't there, and he kept on doing it.
And of course, he hasn't had any cricket either, certainly of this type.
Shardul Thakur is back in the attack, and he bowls on the pads. Big appeal for Robinson, and it's close given. Kettlebell puts up the finger, and this looks. Well,
he's going.
He's had a word with Sam Curran, who said, no, I don't think so. Because I think it did actually, with the naked eye, it looked to me that swung back in. It's sort of a away swinger, and it trapped him right in front of leg stump, middle and leg. And Joe Root, who's England's last real hope of a decent score here, has just walked straight off. And I wonder if he should have done that, having looked at the replay, but... No,
I think we'll see. Sort of leg stumpy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no review, so Root has gone. Reviews were available, were they not?
Oh, many reviews.
It's a very good piece of captaincy there, a pretty good piece of captaincy, in that he took Siraj off because he saw that Bumrah was starting to swing the ball, and I think Siraj is not regarded as the big swinger. He tossed the ball to the gentler pace of Thakur, who got his first one. It looked like a kind of leg stumpy half volley, lesser in pace though, not quite as full. He tried to flick it away, it swung. Just a bit, but enough. We'll check the replay when it comes up. In fact, we're just going to do that now. Pitch is in line. It just swings a fraction, and it's an umpire's call.
So it would have been out even if he'd referred it, but it was strange that he didn't even risk it. But, I mean, it's held its line a bit, hasn't it? It hasn't kept going with the arm. There's definite movement out there, and it makes it so hard to bat against right now. 155 for 7. Ollie Robinson who's one test match to date. He acquitted himself well with the bat, but it's going to need a bit more than that, you would think, because I
mean, you say it so hard, but for someone like Root, who's in on 60 odd, that's not a get out ball.
Well, it was just one that he felt, and then as you said, it felt like one he could tuck away into the onside.
But he will not go back and say, well, that was unplayable.
No.
Even though it just swung a bit. He can play those. It's just that new bowler, different pace. Probably a bit preoccupied about England's situation suddenly, and he's missed it. It's not an unplayable delivery, it's a handy delivery, especially at the start of a new spell.
The slip cordon is being strengthened. We have 3 slips, a gully, cover point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a long leg. Tucker is into the new batter, Ollie Robinson, who drives firmly back to the bowler, and there is no run.
What was the peak? What was the score when Bairstow was out? Just before Bairstow was out.
138 for 3.
So 138 for
17
3
for 4
becomes 155 for 7.
Yep. Couple of ducks in there,
and there's the ball has started to swing more than anything. It's not as if there's terrible demons in this pitch.
Tucker in once more. That swings away in the channel, left alone by Robinson into the gloves of the keeper. No run. I mean, Root may consider himself a little unlucky that Kettleborough gave him out, but Kettleborough put his finger straight up, and I have to say, we're looking right down. We've got a perfect view from where we are, and it felt out. It felt as it swung at the last minute, it was going to hit the stumps.
It shouldn't matter, but it does give you an indication where the ball goes, and it went off to the offside. It's always a bad sign for the batsman, not the leg side.
Tucker in again, and Robinson pulls in the air and will be caught at mid-on, and is a horrible shot. It was short ball. He didn't get anything on it really, toe end of the bat, and it just looped in a gentle parabola to mid-on, and England are imploding here. They're 155 for 8. They've now lost 5 for 17. Ollie Robinson is the 4th duck of the day for England. They're in all sorts of bother.
They certainly are. It's an innocuous delivery. It's just short of a length. New batsman. Again, none of these players are in rhythm. You have to understand, they're not used to playing red ball cricket. The ball's just short of a length. He goes for a sort of half-hearted pull shot, but is in no sort of position to do it. It's not that short, and it spoons not from the middle of the bat, gently, very, very gently to mid-on. I mean, it's another soft dismissal, I'm afraid. And England has 5 now. 5 for 17. At tea time, on the cusp of tea, if Bairstow had got to the tee, you were thinking that England are in a situation they can start to dominate this game. But now they are in the mire. You can't win the first test in the first day, but you can lose it.
Victor, elaborate on that, and also explain why the crowd is in rapturous applause despite England being 155 for 8. And then Simon Mann will come in to see off probably the end of the England innings, I would imagine, at this rate.
Well, they are getting excited because the local hero, Stuart Broad, is making his way through the slip cordon. He's had to get ready quite quickly. Not much time to fret about this innings. It's all happened so suddenly. He's skipped out of his tracksuit into his whites. He's got all his kit on. He's there on time. And England couldn't have do with one of his magical 30s off whatever bit of the bat he can find.
I've never understood that expression. You can't win a game, but you can lose it. So if you're losing it, sit on the other side winning it. That was one of Jeffrey's great expressions, wasn't it?
Well, if it's good enough for Jeffrey.
Do you understand what I mean? If you're losing it, the other side are winning it, so you can win a match in a session or first day or whatever.
Yeah, but it's not the other side. It's your own performance that's done it.
Right.
Or lack of performance.
Okay.
You're your own ineptitude.
So you can lose it with the bat. It's about batting, not bowling.
I don't know.
Right, here's Broad. It's 155 for 8.
Just leave me to my own quiet cliches.
Here's Shardul Thakur bowls, and Broad hits it for 4. It was full, and he drove it through extra cover.
Well, that's, I think, the loudest cheer of the day.
Nicely in the slot from Tucker, and on the attack with slips and a leg slip. I suppose also on the attack in one sense with a deep square leg in for the short ball. So there are lots of spaces on the offside, and Tucker obliged by bowling a foolish ball outside the off stump in Broad's hitting arc. 159 for 8.
Well, it's a good classical cover drive, but it was very full.
Well, another thing Jeffrey used to say as well is he used to bat like Sobers, and that was a bit Sobers-like, wasn't it? I mean, some of the other stuff isn't quite Sobers-like, but some of his driving is. He got 3 slips in, and here is Shardul Thakur. Goes in, bowls to Broad outside the off stump. That was a tempter as well. He might have thought about crashing that through the offside. In fact, if he'd been in perhaps for 12, 15 balls, he might have tried it, but this time he left it. It's 159 for 8. Broad is on 4. Curran is on 5. If you've been away for a while, an hour or something, or even 3/4 an hour, you wonder what on earth's gone on. Well, it's been a familiar tale, really. Lawrence caught down the leg side after tea. One of those soft ones, strangle off Shami. Butler, it was horrible to watch it, actually. Bumrah tortured him and eventually found the outside edge of his bat. And then Robinson, bizarre dismissal, strange one, where he succumbed tamely to mid-on a sort of half a pull shot. So England have lost 3 quick wickets. Bairstow was out just before tea. That was 138 for 4. And then Root as LBW as well to Thakur for 64. He was the one man today that looked assured against this Indian bowling lineup, batting very nicely, and he got one that swung away from him a bit. It looked a nice leg stump ball, missed it, struck him on the pad. LBW umpire's call on leg stump. Here is Bumrah, goes in, bowls to Curran. Curran dabs it into the offside, and there is no run.
Joe Root's had 13 innings since the start of the Indian series in February. He's been out LBW 8 times in those 13 innings, having not been LBW in his previous 25 test innings. Explain that, Victor.
Well, he's not hitting it often enough. I do have I don't think it applies to Root, but I still get puzzled sometimes by the modern predilection for batting on off stump, which gives you a higher chance of being LBW, but I don't think it applies as much to Root as some of the others.
Bumrah bowls, Curran plays defensively into the offside, up towards extra cover, and there is no run. It's got a bit lighter. The lights are still on, the floodlights are still on, but the natural light's a bit brighter now. The clouds came over the ground. It actually felt a bit helped India as well. Overcast, lights on. Some good bowling conditions. They often are at Trent Bridge when that's the situation. But it's getting a bit lighter now.
But it's another good start, actually, because I think it must be a significant change. He scored quite a lot of runs in that period, I suppose.
Bumrah 159 for 8, bowls to Curran way down the leg side. Curran flicks at it half-heartedly, really. Taken by Pant. Down away to his right. So it's been a struggle for England today. It's been relentless. Apart from that partnership between Root and Bairstow, and they were in control. I mean, seemingly England were in control just before tea, when they were 138 for 3. So it's been another one of those collapses that followers of English cricket have become accustomed. Mind you, follow any team, they collapse, don't they? That happens to anybody. It's the regularity, I suppose, it's happened to England this year from that India series onwards. Bumrah bowls to Curran, and the ball goes down the leg side again. Might have flicked the pad there on its way through to Pant.
I mean, we've just got Thakur getting that wicket, but actually it's Bumrah who looks like he can get a wicket any ball. It's getting movement. He really doesn't want to think about the next new ball, which is 20 overs away now. But he's getting movement with this one. Curran, understandably, is apprehensive because he's not quite sure which way he's going to swing it.
Curran looks up to see Bumrah approaching. Swings his arm now, bowls to Curran, who drives, doesn't really time it, but there's a big gap there between gully and extra cover. There's a man sweeping on the cover boundary, so it's a single to Curran. He goes to 6, and England to 160 for 8. So what was the collapse? 5 wickets for
5 for 17.
5 for 17.
In 8 overs and 3 balls.
It's not really that sort of surface. There is... Most of the movement today has been in the air rather than off the pitch. There's been the odd one that's moved off the pitch. It's not a belter, but 138 for 3 and all seemed well with the world. Not anymore.
No, it looks as if we're going to see India bat tonight.
Well, unless the weather intervenes.
Yeah, unless the weather, the light.
We are certain to see India bat tonight, I'd say.
Or a rumbustious partnership between Broad and Curran. Here's Broad waiting for Bumrah, and Broad, is he trapped LBW? He is. We're not going to see a rumbustious partnership between Curran and Broad. Outlet plum.
It's a lovely
full delivery. 160 for 9. Broad, LBW for 4, and Bumrah's picked up his 3rd wicket, 3 for 40. He has looked so good in this spell.
Well, it was a beautiful Yorker length delivery, but it swung. And, even Stuart Broad, not for a millisecond did he think about reviewing that, because it hit him on the back leg in front of middle. It was a lovely swinging Yorker. The swing actually was going from leg to off, from around the wicket as far as Broad was concerned. Failed to get bat on it, and Bumrah gets his just desserts, because in many ways he's been the most dangerous of the lot, even though his figures don't necessarily suggest that. Yes, it's hitting the middle of middle.
It was the plumbest LBW you could ever imagine. It was one of those that even if you're umpiring your own team on a Sunday match
with 10 to win,
or even 2 to win, and it was your best mate was batting at the other end, you would have to raise the finger. It was that plumb.
Yes. Well, it's a remarkable collapse, this. You didn't really see this coming just before tea. The only bit of solace for England is the fact that the ball is swinging still, and they'll hope when they get their hands on another new ball, and they'll be doing that very shortly, even though this is the venue where Jimmy Anderson scored his career best on a slightly different surface a few years ago against India.
And what Jimmy was doing an hour ago during the tea interval, I don't expect he was thinking about batting 54 minutes later.
No, imagine not.
So what is it now? 6 for 23, the collapse?
6 for 22.
6 for 22. There we go. So Curran comes up to have a word with Anderson. It was the last ball of the over, so I suppose there is something to talk about tactically here. What do we take? Do we take runs at the start of the over, or do I wait for the field to come in and have a swing for a couple? Let's see.
I don't overthink it. I think if I were Jimmy, my advice would be, I don't care what you do, but make sure you're facing the first ball of Bumrah's next over. Yeah. I'll take Thacker, you take Bumrah.
There are 4 men out. Deep back of square leg, fine leg, 3rd, deep point. 2 slips in, 3 saving 1. And here is Thacker bowling to Curran, and Curran's beaten outside the off stump. I mean, you talk about playing a few shots and all that sort of thing, and I suspect that Curran will, if the ball's right up there and it feels like a free hit on offer. But it's not easy just scoring at the moment. The ball is doing a bit, and England under severe pressure, of course. Just this 1 wicket left, and bags of overs left in the day. 29 after this one. Again, it's one of those situations where we're unlikely to get a full allocation of overs, but there's been plenty of incident. Here is Thacker bowling to Curran, who swings this away for 6 out towards the wide long on area. First 6 of the match in England's last wicket partnership. Curran feeling, well, I've got to play a few shots here. And that came off. He just advanced a bit and swung it away. It was like a baseball-style shot. He hit it really sweetly.
Yeah. He saw him coming down, I think, so he thought, I'll pitch it a bit shorter. It didn't make any difference. He'd given himself a bit of room. He just swung through the line, and it was a terrific strike. I think they're just keen to sanitise the ball.
Yeah, someone touched it. They tried to take a catch in the crowd,
Okay.
Chap with a light grey and white jumper. He had a chance to really make a hero of himself there with a left-handed catch, but he dropped it. Anyway, so they're going to sanitise the ball. Of course, India saw a lot of this the last time they were here 3 years ago. Curran did some damage against them. I think he was man of the series in the end.
Yeah.
But there's not really much room for manoeuvre here just with Anderson. So it's, can he 2 or 3? Can he get 2 or 3 away? You'd think. Anyway, he's on 12.
Let's have a look. I think mid-on is being pushed back a little deeper.
Yeah, that's Jadeja.
I don't think that'll deter Curran from trying to repeat the shot. He's in no man's land, Jadeja. About 30 yards from the boundary edge.
And here goes Tucker to bowl to Curran. Oh. Curran blocks it.
Playing by numbers.
Pushes it up towards mid-off. It's the third ball of the over. So, what does he do here? Does he...
Well, I don't know.
His time. Wait, does the field come up? I mean, sometimes you see captains, they don't always bring the field right up. You might find towards the end of the over, if he's got Curran still on strike, he'll bang it in short, hope to get one to fly through to the keeper, or at least, possibly even a top edge to the 2 waiting fielders. Fourth ball of the over, 166 for 9, Curran on 12. Tucker goes in and bowls to Curran, and Curran's right in behind that, playing defensively into the offside. Rolls out towards cover. So does Kohli change the field for the 5th ball of the over?
I don't think
the answer is no.
Well, if I were these two, I'd be on... if Jimmy Anderson, I'd be backing up a lot, and I would be expecting Curran to just dab and run.
So single off this ball?
Yeah. We'll probably try and hit it for 6.
Here is Shardul Thakur from the Radcliffe Road end of the ground, running away from us, past the umpire now, into bowl to Curran, and Curran has a huge mow at that and misses it. He was trying to hit it for 6.
And he just missed his leg stump.
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't bowl him, it was very close to the stumps. Curran survives, and the field stays the same for the final ball of the over. Surely now you just dab one, don't you, if you can?
Well, I'd have thought...
Thakur
I'm amazed that he's just bringing his cover much closer. Maybe his mid-off. And what about Jadeja at long on?
No,
he's going back. Well, it's just dab and run. Come on, back up, Jimmy.
Unless he bowls him a short ball.
Yeah.
Tucker goes in, does bowl him a short ball, he swaps it away. It's going out towards deep square leg, and they get a single. Well, you can see the plan there from Tucker. It's sometimes hard to control the short ball. Either it goes over your head and you can't play it, or you play it and it goes in the air. But that time it went along the ground. He wasn't far away from hitting that for 4. But it went out to deep square leg, and Curran gets his 13th run, and on we go. 167 for 9.
I suppose there was a case for the boundary fielder just to watch that ball go for 4. I'm not sure the bowler would have appreciated it, but I think you're allowed to do that, I would have thought.
Yeah, as long as you don't play it into the boundary. That's
No, if you just stand there and watch it, and have Jimmy Anderson on strike against Bumrah. As it is, Curran's on strike. He's struggled against him so far, but he's got a better chance than Jimmy, I think.
I suppose he's also got that freedom, hasn't he, to play a few shots now, whereas before he was trying to play properly, and now he can try to play in a...
He's good, actually, in this situation, but he's done some damage in the past against India, as Sam Curran, but he's got 13 today, which has done so more than quite a few of the others.
Well, there have been 4 noughts. Burns nought, Butler nought, Lawrence nought, Robinson nought. Reached 64. Here is Bumrah, looking for his 4th wicket, goes in now and bowls to Curran, and Curran gets a ball that swings away from him, and he lets it go, and it's taken by Rishabh Pant, who has collected how many catches today? 3 catches behind the stumps. Hasn't a much slow bowling to keep to. Just saw a handful of overs from Ravi Jadeja in the afternoon session. No spin for him. Bumrah, pavilion behind him, turns in the distance, comes in looking to finish off this England innings at 167. Bumrah around the wicket, bowls to Curran. Curran gets another away swinger, and he's very happy to see that go by.
Those innings Sam Curran played in the 2018 series in his first summer of Test cricket in the first test of the second innings. He came in with England 86 for 6, just 99 ahead, and hit 63 off 65 balls. England ended up winning a low-scoring game. In the fourth test, he came in the first innings, also 86 for 6, made a rapid 78, took England to 246, and then made 46 in the second innings. Another low-scoring game that England narrowly won. So it had a hugely influential series with the bat.
Yeah, really caught the eye of the Indians as well, and earned him some lucrative contracts in the IPL. Bumrah bowls to Curran, another away swinger, another Curran leave. He's getting it to go there, isn't he, Bumrah?
Yeah, from around the wicket in the wooden way. Definite swing for him. He's been terrific all day, actually, hasn't he?
This is his 19th over. Yeah. He's taken 3 for 40. He wasn't good in the World Test Championship final. Didn't take a wicket in the match, and people were questioning his place in the side. The harsher critics. Well, he's come out today and been instrumental in India's taking a grip on this game. He bowls full there to Curran. Curran defends it back up the pitch, and Bumrah picks up, and there is no run. So 2 balls left in the over.
Well, I've got a man who knows this situation well, knows how perhaps the number 11's thinking. He'll give you an insight that obviously I don't possess.
It's Tuffers coming in. The field does come up this time, so there is an opportunity possibly for Curran, but Bumrah's bowling a really good over. He's getting the ball to go, bowling at high pace as well, and he moves in now to Curran. The fielders closing in, bowls to Curran. Curran defends, can't do anything with that, plays it out to extra cover, and there's no run. I suppose the one thing you might say is that Anderson's not facing Bumrah at the start of the next over if Curran can't get anything from this final ball. But 167 for 9, it does not look as though this last wicket pair are going to do a huge amount of damage. In fact, India have done well enough already. I mean, if England were to get another 25 from here, India would still feel they've done exceptionally well today. Bumrah to complete the over, bowls to Curran, and Curran flicks this into the onside, and they scramble through for a single. Bumrah's frustrated with himself. It's quite full, and he played it to wide mid-on and took the single and goes to 14. So Curran's playing this well. Anderson's still yet to face a ball. It's 168 for 9. So what do you say, number 11?
Afternoon, Simon. Afternoon, everyone. What I say is...
Oh, it was a no ball.
Oh, it was a no ball.
It was a no ball, so I don't think England really want that, do they?
No, they don't. No, this is what I was going to say. I reckon Sam Curran swing the bat, try and get 10 or 15 quickly, and then get bowling. Get bowling, because you can't see, them putting on too many more for this final wicket.
And you feel like it's quite good bowling conditions.
Absolutely.
Light going a bit.
Yeah, now
floodlights on.
We were just noticing, weren't we, that those clouds just rolled in and they looked a little bit threatening, and it just started hooping. And they bowled beautifully, and they were unlucky this morning.
Yeah,
and they're reaping their rewards at the moment.
So here's a bonus ball for Bumrah to bowl to Anderson. He escapes anyway. Let's put it that way. He pushed at it, then passed his pad, past the bat, past the off stump, through to Pant. So Anderson has survived his first ball of the match.
Lights are on. You just get the feeling that Jimmy Anderson and perhaps a Stuart Broad might be able to wreak a bit of havoc as well. I declare. There you go. That's my perspective.
Well, declare. Yeah, well, it's not the worst idea in the world.
Declare.
It's unlikely to happen, I think we should emphasise.
Yes, that's what I'd be having a little word in the skipper's ear. Let's get bowling. But how many wickets they got? 5 wickets for 17 runs they lost there or something?
It was 6 for 22.
6 for 22. I mean, we sort of thought England had got over that tricky period, didn't we, that first session, and sort of dug in, but India have clawed themselves back into this game beautifully just by good, solid, good areas, good channel seam bowling, and then with those little bit of swing and a little bit of seam came along, they got the edges and have got themselves in a fantastic position.
Right, it's Curran on strike. Thacker bowls to him, and Curran plays a nice looking shot into the offside, but hits it straight at cover. It was struck well enough to hope for 4 there. He really did time it nicely.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a bit of a dart here, Curran.
Well, you feel Thacker's a bowler you could take on a bit more.
Yeah. 2 men out, square of the wicket each side. I think, if you can get yourself a quick 10 or 15. He might even get the new ball, Sam Curran. Bit of swing.
Yeah. Here's Tucker to bowl to Curran. Curran gives himself some room and hits this through the offside, but they decide not to take the single. It's the second ball of the over. There was the man back on the deep point boundary. I don't think they could have got 2 there, so they decided against it. Anderson at 39, not the quickest between the wickets. He's still a very good athlete, isn't he?
He's not bad.
He's not bad for 39.
He's not bad. I think he'd beat a few in this box.
Yeah, well, that's because
we're all a bit older.
People in this box are a bit older, yeah.
Yeah, but no, he's still fit as a fiddle, isn't he? Listening to him the other day saying that he's, still got a lot in the tank.
Tucker bowls to Curran, who hits this high in the air, out towards wide long on. It's gone for 4. More cow corner, really. One Banks. Fielder out there on the deep forward square leg boundary. Ran, couldn't get there. Jadeja was long on, he couldn't get there. 173 for 9. Kohli's seen a bit of this before. It's not huge damage so far inflicted by Curran. It's only 18, but
yeah, I think he got that field placing wrong. I've seen Sam Curran, when he does sort of go like cow corner a bit, and that man was a bit square. Kohli's now just stuck him a little bit more deep mid-wicket, especially with the ball just swinging into you.
So you've got 5 fielders on the boundary, 3 on the leg side, 2 behind square on the off. There's a slip and a 4th slip, and then 2 saving 1 on the offside. Tucker goes in, bowls to Curran, full toss, and Curran tries to hit that too hard, and all he can do is play it up towards mid-off where Siraj fields, and there's no run. That was a 4 ball if ever I've seen one.
Yeah.
It hit that through the offside for 4, but he took him by surprise and he mistimed it. It's 173 for 9. So this last wicket partnership, only worth 13 at the moment. England just hoping for as many as they possibly can from Sam Curran.
You're on the edge of your seat, aren't you, when you watch England bat nowadays? You just never know what's around the corner. Going along quite nicely, weren't they, when Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow were getting themselves in, and then bang, 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 bang. Yeah, in a bit of a pickle.
138 for 3. Fields come up now. Tucker bowls and Curran launches, and he's hit this down towards the deep third area, and it's not taken, and they go through for a single. It wasn't a catch, I don't think. It fell short of the fielder there, who is Siraj coming in. No, not Siraj. Who's it down there?
Raoul.
No, he didn't take it. It was a miscue off the toe end of the bat, high in the air, and just in front of the fielder coming in.
Was it a sub on?
Yes, it's Vihari, the sub fielder, down there. I wonder why I didn't recognise him. Yes, Vihari is on. So Curran gets a single, and Anderson has 1 ball to face in the 63rd over. It's 174 for 9. That's nearly for India there, not far away. Curran again looking for that wide long on cow corner area. So last ball of the over, Tucker moves in to bowl to Anderson, and Anderson gets the ball that's short of the length. He didn't mind that, he's in behind it, playing defensively into the offside. There's no run. End of the over, end of me as well. More from you Tuffers, and then Jonathan Agnew.
Yeah, hats off to India. They've been feeling a little bit sorry for themselves because they bowled beautifully in that first session, just didn't quite get their rewards, but they've stuck to the task, and they've got this ball swinging and just nipping off this surface as well. A little bit of grass that's just started to die off a bit, it's starting to turn a bit browner, but they've been right on the money. India bowled great channel and with good patience and some high quality bowling from Bumrah, especially to Butler. Had him all at sea. Aggers.
Patience is a key word, I think you're right.
Yeah.
They've just toiled away in conditions that have helped them a bit, and they didn't get frustrated when they weren't picking up wickets. They knew they'd get a chance. Get 1, get 2 or 3. 174 for 9. Curran at least is still on strike. There's 2 slips, and Bumrah's on his way. Bowls to him, he charges, clips that away to mid-on, but doesn't go for the run, although there was one there to be had. He wants to keep the strike. Another bitterly disappointing England batting performance. They were 138 for 3.
Looking rosy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bairstow Root put on 72 on stroke of tea. Bairstow was LBW for 29 to Shami.
You can't nip off when you watch this England side, can you, for 5 or 10 minutes? Or
No.
because you just don't know what you're going to come back to.
Well, I think you do.
Well, yes.
Bumrah around the wicket, comes in, bowls to Curran, who defends this time. Playing just to the onside of straight. Bumrah moves in to pick up. Root played really nicely. He was disappointed with his shot, though. Flicking the first ball of a spell. I mean, you try and have a bit of a look, don't you? A new bowler comes on,
perhaps.
just have a little look. What is his? The answer was it swung quite a lot. He'd have played that if he'd have played to almost straight down the pitch, maybe mid-on, if he'd just given himself a ball or two, but trying to flick it so square. Bumrah again, bowls to Curran. It's down the leg side, well stopped by Pant. Tumbling there to his right-hand side, 174 for 9. It's gloomy. It's not impossible. The floodlights are on.
But I think we mentioned it, didn't we, John? It just sort of crept up the side of us, didn't we? We thought, is that going to rain a little bit? It doesn't look like rain, but it just looked a bit more menacing. And the conditions became very good for bowling.
Bumrah again, bowls to the left-handed Curran, who looks to leave that and gets a lot of bat on it, and the ball runs down to third man. There is a fielder down here. They don't take the run. Interesting, they've got Jadeja down at third man, I suspect for the skied swipe.
Yeah.
It's quite a key position. It's a difficult place to take catches. So I think he's been, given that he is the
gun.
Yeah, an absolute brilliant fielder. You wouldn't expect to find him at third man, but that's precisely why he's there. How many balls to go? 2 to go. Anderson, get in your blocks. Field is in. Bumrah still going round the wicket. Moves in and bowls to Curran. Is there, and he bowls to a low full toss. He's got into the offside with a diving, desperate, sprawling save there at cover from Bahane. And so there is no run. Now there's 1 ball to go. What are you bowling, Tuffers, to keep Anderson up at that end?
High bouncer.
I think
Yorker.
so. I'm bowling a bouncer. There's no one back at deep square leg.
Well, how about this? Slower ball.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that. They've still got Jadeja down here at third man. I might have had a man out of deep square, actually, but here's the last ball. Can Curran get to that far end somehow? He's bowled outside the off stump. No, he's slashed it for 4. He took advantage of the field up, and Bumrah gave him a little bit of width. Yeah. There's a young lad there in a very smart Panama hat signalling 4 runs. It does mean, though, that Anderson will be exposed, and I'm bringing Shami on, I'm afraid. I'm taking Tucker off, and I'm bringing Shami on, but we'll wait and see if Kohli agrees with me or not.
What I wouldn't have bowled is short and wide outside off stump.
That wasn't a great ball.
No, it wasn't. And you're right, John, you've got your wish. Bit of chamois.
Yeah, I'd have had him on the last over, to be honest.
Yeah. Pace, a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Scurrier, isn't he? Bustling.
Well, I think if you're James Anderson, if you've got the choice between Tucker and Shami, I think you know who you're going to go for. So in they come again. There's 3 slips. There's a leg slip and a square leg. There's a sniff of short stuff about this. Mid-off's coming up. They've got to really tight here. Make sure he can't just scuttle a single. Shami's on his way round the wicket. Bowls to Anderson, who drives and misses.
What are you saying about this batting performance from England? We sort of knew it was up on the cards, didn't we?
I'm sharpening my pencil.
No, are you? Dangerous.
Well, but we said before the game, I mean, what sort of, Test cricket needs preparation. It needs time against the same colour ball. You got to. It's a completely different game. And
when was the last knock that Butler had? Did you say, John?
Oh, it's weeks ago.
Yeah, was it? No, it was. Red ball
cricket was the Gall test.
Yeah.
Oh, that one, yes, indeed. He goes Shami bowls and that
shot.
That was a nice shot from Anderson. Plays to mid-on. Of course it was. Sorry, yeah. I'm thinking of others. When the last time most of these players, and it's not making excuses. It's trying to offer an explanation and something that really has to be addressed. Can't expect people just to rock up and playing T20 type cricket and go out and play against one of the best bowling attacks in the world.
So Butler did play the first test in Chennai in India before flying home.
Curran wouldn't have played too much red ball cricket either.
Shami round the wicket, bowls. It's a bouncer, but it's far too wide. Harmless one. Anderson watches that fly through to Pant. Put on our screens of a young lad there. I think he's got a double. What do you call it?
Nice.
Those 99s he's got there. He's got his flakes sticking out. He's got one in each hand.
Yeah, doubles. Double scoops. Margaret Thatcher, you know, invented the Mr. Whippy ice cream.
Get out of it.
Yes, she did. She had something to do with it. Yeah, no.
What, in Grantham?
Yes, absolutely, Mark Maggie.
Shami round the wicket, bowls, and Anderson gropes and misses. All just going past his outside edge. You're challenging a disbelieving Andy Zoltzman to confirm this. Well, he has something to do with a Mr. Whippy.
Sure, that came up earlier in the summer, didn't it?
Obviously, Eggers wasn't there. Here we go.
It'd be an interesting and very unlikely headline, but that involves Margaret Thatcher and Mr. Whippy in the same sentence.
I'm looking at the headline now. Was Margaret Thatcher really a part of the team that invented Mr. Whippy?
Well, was she?
Well, I don't know.
It says it's subject of controversy.
Right. It's up for
I don't
debate.
know where Miss Whiplash fits into this.
No, nor do I, but
at the same time.
I shudder to think. But her dad was a greengrocer, wasn't he? Then goes Shami round the wicket. Bowls swinging in, is clipped away nicely by Anderson. He's off the mark. He'll pick up one. As Jadeja fields there at wide mid-on. It's another of your ridiculous tough as tails.
Listen, I'm pretty sure that he had a lot of raspberry sauce on that.
Yeah, a lot of raspberry.
Yeah. There we go. What we got here, Andy?
It says, according to this Guardian article from 2013, Thatcher, the New Scientist, reported in the 1980s that she'd worked developing emulsifiers for ice creams from 1949 to 51.
There you go.
But so slightly overstated to say she invented Mr. Whippy.
It's a 2-year career in an ice cream factory.
Listen, she was part of the team that invented the style of Mr. Whippy. There you go.
Well, I think we'll leave that one out there for our listener to confirm.
Thank you.
Curran wants a single here. It's the last ball of the over. Shami bowls to him. No, he's got the big one again. Slicing it over backward point. Now, it's going to go for 4. Well, they're very useful runs.
Yeah, if they can edge their way up, they'll be thinking perhaps 200 psychologically.
Yep.
Get them a few, but they're missing out on some good bowling conditions. And I suppose every run helps, especially if you win the toss and bat. It must be difficult. I must admit, it crossed my mind this morning to have a bowl, John.
You did. You said at the time.
I did. Everyone else was adamant. No, we're going to bat. I said, well, I fancy a bowl.
Yep. I think I was in the good toss to lose camp.
Yes, which is sitting on the fence.
Bit of a cop out, but it is true in that the conditions have been good all day.
If you win the toss, can you actually then go, well, go on, I'll leave it up to you?
I don't know whether that's ever been done. Chris Cowdrey tells a story when he was in his brief England cap's career, which I think was that one test at Headingley against the West Indies.
That's right.
He tells it. I mean, it's a very funny story. Chris is a very funny man, so I don't know if it's absolutely true or not. But Viv walked out to toss and basically suggested they shouldn't bother, and Viv said, "What do you do, man? You're about a bowl." And Chris, I think I'm a bad, and that was it. But I don't know.
He said, "We're going to beat you anyway."
Exactly. Yeah. What do you want to do, mate? Just do what you like.
Save the walk.
Yes. Bumrah around the wicket, bowls, goes right through Anderson.
I think also, wasn't that his first test, Chris Cowdrey? Didn't he sort of captain?
No.
Oh.
He played in India in 1980.
Yes, but I think Viv didn't know who he was. I think he sort of walked out.
1984 he toured India.
Yeah, he played tests in that tour of 84, 5 and 88 was his one game as England captain.
Yes, that's right. His one game as captain, and I think Viv might have actually sort of gone, hello, mate.
Well, they were getting through their captains, weren't they?
Embers had a go, I think. Yes. Beefy had a go, Gallagher had a go.
Bumrah moves in, bowls to Anderson, plays out to mid-on. He tells the story so well, Chris. People have heard him speak, will know it. But he had this phone call from Peter May, the chairman of selectors,
All right.
saying, we think you're the man, Christopher, we're in a bit of trouble here. We think you're the man to go out there and sort it out. You're going to be captain of England. To which Chris says, thank you, Uncle Peter. He was his godfather.
Thank you, Uncle.
Thank you, Uncle Peter. He got one game. I think, did he break a finger?
Oh,
I think he broke a finger in it, and that was it. His brief career came to an end.
what was he dropped? Was he dropped after that as well?
Someone else had a go. Didn't John Embry have a go after that?
Oh, did he? Yeah. He might have done. He must have been dropped then.
In comes Bumrah. Bowls. Oh, it's a lovely Yorker.
Wow.
A beautiful leg before wicket, and he's out. And Anderson's going to review it. He might have hit that. The ball seemed to come up and hit him on the helmet. It was a magnificent ball, speared into his boots. Indians all saying well done. Rohit Sharma's running off. It was an instant review, and Anderson is leaning on his bat saying, listen lads, you're going to come back here. Has he hit it? This is the question. Let's have a look. It's swinging in, hits him, but it's nowhere near it. And when he hit it afterwards,
Might have gone down leg side.
flush on the toe.
Tracking when ready, please.
Yes, Jimmy, he did hit it, but not first.
That's going to hurt as well, because he's got those little sand shoes, hasn't he? He's got those boots that aren't particularly sturdy.
Now, is it going down the leg side?
It might be.
It was an instant review. Rohit Sharma starts to walk off.
Wait for ball tracking.
Virat Kohli's off the field anyway.
Virat Kohli's in the bar.
183 the score. He's been given out. So we're waiting now for the technology. He was nowhere near hitting it. It was such an instant review. It was a sort of review of a man
Still
who had
waiting
hit
for
it.
ball tracking.
Virat is actually standing in the pavilion door. He's gone up the steps and he's just...
But he's waiting to see what happens. But
Yeah.
Anderson's convinced this isn't out.
No, he's going to have quite a long walk back, Virat, if it's not out.
Ball tracking. Here we go. Oh, I think it must have swung too much.
Okay,
Yeah.
impact
Red,
is in
red,
line.
missing.
It's missing
Come
for
on,
wicket.
Virat.
Jimmy was right.
So we go back to Michael on field to reverse your decision, Michael. You're on
Back comes
screen now.
Kohli. You might get a bit of a cheer for this. Deafening noise. Rohit Sharma, the opening batsman, he was happy to go trundling off towards the pavilion to get ready. Bumrah's smiling, as he always seems to do. But he is bowling round the wicket. It was very full, and it did hit Anderson on the toe, so a chance of it going down the leg side. 3 balls left in the over. England are 183 for 9.
Most extraordinary, because it hit his toe, and then as he sort of jammed the bat down, it jammed it up into his face.
It did, it went up to his helmet. 3 balls to go in the over. Bumrah on his way again, bowls to Anderson. No, ball! Why did we bother? Bumrah's smiling. Anderson isn't. And England are 183 all out. And well bowled Jasprit Bumrah. Brilliant Yorker. Anderson was nowhere near it. Flurry of activity. Kohli never did make it back onto the ground. Beautiful Yorker. Oh, look, that's hit the off stump. It's gone right under his bat. It's the perfect Yorker. Got invasion by all sorts of people. Stewards are coming on, ground staff, got a robot camera, a chap trundling a light roller. Because in 10 minutes, England will have the ball in their hands, and it'll be India batting under the floodlights with about, an hour of play to go, a little bit less, the overs that remain. So there's a lot of cricket still to come, and a lot can still happen between now and then. Dan Norcross will anticipate those possible scenarios between innings. He always loves to fill his boots between the innings, setting up the various maybes and maybe nots. He's a champion at it. And I'm going to go and have a cup of tea.
Lovely.
Tough as afterwards from you. It'll be Dan.
Milk 2 sugars for me, please, John. Well done, India. Well bowled, India. As you say, we were just discussing earlier, patience was the key there, because England looking pretty good. Sort of just in that first session, rode their luck, played and missed. But India didn't take their foot off the gas or get downhearted at all. They stuck to their guns, and and they've reaped their rewards, and that's the trouble for me. Look at that, Dan Lawrence, naught, Butler, naught, ripped out the heart of that middle order, and then it was kind of on the cards, Dan, afternoon.
Yes, well, it was, and there was time when it wasn't, at 138 for 3. I mean, let's think about it in terms of time. It was only less than 2 hours ago that England was sitting quite pretty in a good partnership between the two Yorkshiremen, Root and Bairstow, and then Bairstow out just before tea, Lawrence out straight after tea, and then those last 7 wickets plummeting for 45 runs. It behoves me, with a heavy heart, to read you out the scorecard, the scorecard of doom.
Well, do it in a jolly manner.
In an upbeat way?
Yes.
Well, in the first over, Rory Burns was out. I'm not sure I'll be able to keep that up, you know. So yes, this is
style.
This is the tale of a rather sorry afternoon for England. Rory Burns was the first to go in the very first over. A brilliant piece of bowling from Jasprit Bumrah. 4 away swingers and then one that swung back in. Rory Burns had it referred, but the ball was shown to be clipping the top of middle stump. It might have been a little unlucky, but it was terrific bowling from Bumrah. England were 0 for 1. There then followed a stodgy but crucial partnership, we thought, time crucial, between Dom Sibley and Zach Crawley before Crawley was out in also similarly hilarious fashion, actually. He had a referral from Virat Kohli immediately after the ball had passed his inside edge. It was shown not to have hit the inside edge of the bat at all. The very next ball, almost identical delivery, it might have been 2 or 3 balls later, I beg your pardon. Again given not out. This time took a little bit longer over the referral, and there was a little inside edge taken by punt off the bowling of Siraj. So Crawley went for a well-made 27. Not long before lunch, that brought Root to the crease. England at lunch was 61 for 2, with Sibley on just 18, but soon after lunch he went spooning a catch to short mid-wicket, where it was taken by KL Rahul, an easy catch off the bowling of Shami for 18 from 70 deliveries. They then followed the main partnership of the innings at 72 between Bairstow and Root. Before, as I said, Bairstow was trapped LBW by Mohammad Shami in the last over before tea for 29 from 71 balls, and in the continuation of that over after tea, Lawrence went for a duck, a little unlucky perhaps, strangled down the leg side, getting a little bit of bat on it, taken by punt very comfortably. Duck off 4 balls. Then Jos Buttler had an unusual sticky innings. We heard from Andy Zaltzman how he's never failed to get off the market in so many balls without actually ending up with a duck, and he got it again today, an 18-ball duck. His first ball nearly went for 4, was really well stopped, and after that he just got a bit desperate and went after a few, and then finally succumbed. A little thin edge through to punt off the bowling of Bumrah. At this point Bumrah was bowling magnificently, getting it to swing in all directions, as was Shami, and England had collapsed to 138 for 5, and it got worse when Butler was out for 140. That was 145 for 6. Then Joe Root was out when Thakur was brought on, as the ball was shown to be swinging, and the ball looked like it was going down the leg side. He looked to flick it away, and then it straightened at the last minute. Given out LBW, didn't refer it. It was umpire's call, so he would have been out anyway. He went for the top score of the innings, 64 from 108 balls with 11 fours. He looked in good touch, not in any real bother today, until he was dismissed. And then it was pack of cards time, really. Ollie Robinson out to a very weak shot, a short ball that he pulled at and spooned a catch to Mohammad Shami off the bowling of Thakur for a duck, the 4th duck of the innings. Stuart Broad, well, he hit 4 off 3 balls. One of them was a 4, and then he was out so plumb, LBW, I tell you, dear listener, he didn't bother to refer it, which is a rarity in the modern age. A Broad not referring, but there were 3 up the sleeve, all shown to be being the halfway up, middle. Bit even lower than that, if anything. And then this partnership between Sam Curran, who was cruelly robbed 73 runs short of his century on 27 from 37 balls with 4 fours and a 6. Good, actually stirring stuff from Curran, in partnership with Anderson. They put on 23. Anderson made just one of them before he was bowled by a brilliant Yorker from Bumrah. Bumrah 4 for 46, Mohammad Shami 3 for 28, Siraj 1 for 48, Shardul Thakur 2 for 41, and Jadeja just 3 overs, none for 11, 183 all out. And I think we have on the line a very delighted Deep Dasgupta. Wow, what a turnaround. 7 for 45. That must have warmed the cockles of your heart.
Yeah, absolutely ecstatic. Not just with the result of the first innings, but also the way the Indian bowlers bowled. They were very, very disciplined, bowled the right line, the right length, even when there was this partnership building, especially the Bairstow and Joe Root partnership. They were extremely disciplined, and a couple of those deliveries, the delivery to get rid of Joe Root, that was an absolute corker of a delivery. But yeah, just all in all, the performance, and obviously, we keep talking about the process. I think the process was spot on, and hence the result, 183.
It's hard to find a pick of the bowlers. The figures, 4 for 46 from Bumrah. He was spectacular today, getting the ball to swing gloriously with great seam position. But I'm delighted from Hamid Shami, 3 for 28 in his last tour here. I think statistically he was the unluckiest bowler in the history of Test cricket. It's great to see him getting some rewards, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. And with Shami, he takes his time to get into a test match. We often jokingly call him the second innings Mohammad Shami. That's when he's in his true colours. But it's just amazing to see him bowl the first spell the way he did in this test match. Like I said, it's his second, third spell when he gets into his traps, but it was really, really good. Bumrah getting that ball to swing away from the right-hander. Really haven't seen him do that consistently enough post his recovery. So obviously that tells me that, he obviously bowled further up, fuller. That just tells me that he's back. Jasprit Bumrah is back.
Have you seen an Indian quartet, well, 3 really of the 4, swing the ball as much as that on English soil? They looked like an English quartet, really, didn't they?
Absolutely, and if you look at them, and their strength is not actually swinging apart from Shardul Thakur. All 3 of them, Bumrah, Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj, all 3 of them are predominantly seam bowlers. They are hit-the-deck bowlers. It's just amazing to see them swing the ball as much as they did, especially Bumrah.
And selection vindicated really with Tucker, wasn't it? He picked up the vital wicket of Root. You alluded to it there, but he really was getting the ball to move in the air. And look, I tell you, they are quite favourable conditions here. We've got good overheads, and it's warm enough for it to swing as well. But he bowled really well.
Yes, he did, and also I know him for a while now. Plays for Mumbai, and his stock ball is that outswinger. His strength is the longer version, the red ball cricket. That's where he's picked up so many wickets in first class cricket, and it's just good to see him get his mojo back, so to say, after playing so many white ball games in the last couple of years. It's good to see him do what he's done here this morning.
Now, India, you'd think now big favourites in this match, having bowled out England for 183, but this is quite the hour now, isn't it? We're going to have around about 57 minutes or so, and you would think the ball would move in these conditions with English bowlers who are used to making the ball move. This is going to be testing time for this Indian top order.
No two ways about it. 183, it looks under par, but there's still runs on the board, and that's what India needs to do. I'm not just look at 183, obviously try and cross that and get a first innings lead, because end of the day India is going to bat 4th on this surface in this test match. Even though, like I said, it looks like an under par, but India really has to bat well.
Deep, thanks ever so much. I'm sure we'll be speaking to you at the close of play. We're going to let you go now because the players are out there. England have set their field. 3 slips, a gully, a backward point, all in place. And of course, it's James Anderson on 617 wickets. 3 shy of overtaking Anil Kumble and becoming the 3rd most prolific bowler in the history of Test cricket. He has ball in hand. He's just tossing it to and fro with Stuart Broad at the moment. I can imagine what's going through their heads, and it'll been going through their heads quite a lot over the last few years, which is...
Why are we bowling?
Why are we bowling? I didn't think we were going to be bowling. Before tea we were going to be bowling. Now we're bowling. This is not on, and we've only got 183 on the board. Alistair Cook has rejoined us. It's hard to know what to make of the excitement of the last couple of hours.
It did swing more after tea, didn't it? It started
really did
to swing. Now, the Duke's balls I've been playing with in...
Anderson, first ball of the innings, forward in defence. Is Sharma, pushes into the offside, and there is no run.
The Duke's balls we've been playing with in the county game haven't swung as much early on, and then get to like the 20th over and then they start swinging. But I know the over 8 was slow, but it wasn't 20 overs at tea, was it?
No, it was 50 odd.
It was 50 odd, but some of the balls Bumrah were bowling towards Sankara, and I was a left hand. I wouldn't know how he lined that up. The only time he got a bat on it was when he backed away and carved it to the offside.
Yep, that's very true. Anderson edged through past gully, down towards the deep backward point boundary for 4. They're underway, Sharma, but I don't suppose Jimmy Anderson... Well, I do actually suppose Jimmy Anderson would be furious with that, but...
Do you not know James Anderson?
Yeah, I think you're right. But he will take some encouragement if he can find the positive. There was a bit of movement there, movement away.
Not a huge amount of foot movement from Rohit either. I know he's not a massive mover of his feet. It's more about weight transfer and using his hands and eyes and balance to get into the ball.
Well, this will be a test for Rohit and for KL Rahul, who's come back into the side.
And Rohit's record away from home isn't brilliant.
And sent in, and that's defended solidly to Broad at mid-on, the front foot. And there is no run.
The only concern I have a little bit with Jimmy is the lack of match bowling he's done. I think has he bowled only 22 overs since the last Test match?
I believe that's right. I think I saw that. Yeah, 22 overs, and he likes to bowl in matches.
Yeah,
doesn't
he does, and it's the match practice he loves. He loves the intensity of it. That there's only so many. He will bowl on the nets, and he could bowl 80%, 70%.
Here he is once more, left alone by Rohit, the keeper, no run. But in that time, he has though taken his 1,000th wicket in that extraordinary spell. Was it 6 for 1 or something absurd at one point?
I thought it could have been 5 for 1. You might have given him another wicket. Right. He's allowed to have another wicket.
He said, and I find this
he wasn't bowling well or something?
No, he said that he wasn't aware that was his 1,000th wicket. Do you believe that?
No, I don't. I don't believe it. Certainly, as one of his good friends, Glenn Chappell, he didn't quite get 1,000, did he?
No.
I think he was stuck on 981 maybe.
Anderson is in, and forward comes Rohit, pushes square of the wicket on the offside. It's fielded by Bairstow. There's no run.
I just hope his toe's okay, because the ball,
yeah,
he got the LBW, the ball before he got out. Pretty much, I didn't land quite flush. It bounced but
did a little kiss, didn't it? And then bounced up. So I think he might have a sore toenail, but rather than landing on the top, which is that's the horrible one.
But it would have hurt, because that was, I think it was close to 86, 87 mile an hour. Not a huge amount of protection in batting shoes.
Fast bowlers don't like to show pain, though, do they? As he runs away from us to complete his over, left alone in the channel outside the off stump. And there is no run. There is plenty of cricket going on at the moment, and we're across it all on the BBC. There's Royal London Cup commentary on the BBC Sport website and app. And if you want the 100, there's the Birmingham Phoenix versus the Oval Invincibles now on the BBC Sport website and app. Renamed the Oval Vincibles after a series of losses of late. And the Invincibles are 87 without loss, needing 43 from 42. That's the Women Invincibles. And the men's 100 game tonight will be on 5 Live, starting at 7 o'clock. Of course, there's the BBC TV highlights, which you've been involved in, which will be also on BBC 2 at 7 o'clock. There is so much cricket. You just need to have recording devices. You need to devote your life to cricket over the course of this next month, as local boy Stuart Broad is going to bowl the second over. He has a not inconsiderable number of 523 wickets. The next person in his sights is Glenn McGrath with 563, so he's 41 away from McGrath. And Anderson, as we say, is 3 wickets away from going past Anil Kumble. There are 4 slips in. Bairstow's a backward point, quite a deep backward point, really. A wide mid-off, almost an extra cover, a straightish mid-on, and a squarish mid-wicket. As Broad starts in, and Rahul gets one that comes back into him, pushes it into the offside, and it's picked up by Burns at 4th slip. There's no run. If you're just tuning in and wondering why England are bowling, it's because they're no longer batting. They've done that wonderful trick where they've gone from 138 for 3 in the last over before tea to 183 all out, 45 for 7.
And did that include a 20-odd run partnership for the 10th wicket?
Yeah, so was it 23, was it, Andy? Yep. Sam Curran's left stranded on 27 not out. As Broad is in to roll, lets us go by. Side the off stump taken by Butler. And there's no run. What did you make of Butler's innings? I felt for him, because you could feel he had to get off the mark, and he was getting more and more frustrated by it, wasn't he?
What has been asked of him has been hard, hasn't it? To play all white ball cricket. And we know, and and then to come into a red ball cricket and expect them to bat 6-7 hours. It takes practice to be able to do it. I know it's the modern game, I know it's the modern way with flicking between formats, but to have no red ball cricket for, Johnny Bairstow, when was his last red ball game? Joss Butler, they're all these guys.
Broad is in, left alone outside the off stump with the keeper.
These guys who are not what I'd say, the red ball they probably find hard and they do the white ball, and so you'd say Joss Butler's a more natural white ball cricketer. He's going to find the tempo of an innings hard to get going when he hasn't done it for a long time against a world-class bowling attack. Johnny Bairstow the same.
When the ball started to swing more, and I think we did, you mentioned it, we saw some stats, and I think it did swing more after tea. It was at 2.6 degrees or something over. Maybe Andy's got his eye on that for us.
So it's incredibly hard for England batters today.
Broad in, and that's wide of the off stump, taken by Butler in front of first slip. It was that wide.
But you have to say, well, actually in the New Zealand series they had, a lot of the guys had plenty of practice, didn't they? Because there's a lot of red ball cricket before the start of that game, and they didn't score the runs that they would have liked then either. But for Joss, I feel probably in particularly sorry for him and Johnny as well. Actually, I thought Johnny looked good, and so did Crawley, but we were saying looking good for 20. Test matches aren't won with 20s very often.
And near the end of sessions as well, on both occasions. Broad in, and that's pushed firmly by Rahul, nicely square of the wicket. Bairstow chases after it like a man angrily trying to find his errant dog, and they come back for 2, or was that 3 in the end? 3 they made there. 7 without loss. India moved to. He does have a very determined, high-shouldered run after things, does Johnny Bairstow.
Yeah, but so does Pujara, doesn't he? He has a high shoulder, but a lot slower.
Very much so. Yeah. Pujara's more sort of my kind of pace, really, isn't there?
Not that I ever want to really bring it back to me, but when he was the guy chasing the ball on my boundary for that last 100,
I remember
I was fairly convinced that the ball was going to win that race. If there was anyone in world cricket, and I chasing it, it could be him.
Broad in to complete the over, left alone outside the off stump through to the keeper, and there's no run. 7 without loss, 2 overs have gone. Rohit has 4, KL Rahul has 3. I nearly missed that. I need because
you were on air, weren't you?
I was on air, and I needed Ebony to tug me because I was looking at you running, and she had to tug at my shirt to point to me for the overthrows before I realised what was going on.
I'd like to see Ebony. There must be some video.
There is video footage of me panicking terribly. Yeah, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, there must be. There must be.
There is. Yeah. Sorry, Andy.
Well, a few statistical nuggets to clear up from the first innings. None of them are particularly great listening for England supporters. Firstly, Jasprit Bumrah, superb spell either side of tea. 3 for 22 in 10.4 overs, 3 for 13 in 7.4 after tea. England's last 7 wickets fell for 45. It's the 3rd time in the last 3 home summers they've lost their last 7 for under 50.
Anderson starts a new over to KL Rahul, who pushes forward again firmly but can't beat the diving Bairstow at point, and there's no run.
Yeah, third time in the last 3 home summers they've lost their last 7 wickets for under 50. That's only happened once in the previous 8 home summers. They won the toss and were bowled out for under 200 for the 3rd time in the last 4 home summers. That only happened once in the previous 16 summers. And 4 ducks in an innings for the 3rd time in their last 5 tests. Happened in the first test against New Zealand and in the 3rd test against India earlier in the year.
Anderson in. And that's left alone, it comes back. That came back in, not sharply, but it's well left in the end by Rahul through to Butler. There's no run.
They'd only had 4 or more ducks in an innings twice in their previous 85 matches. So all in all, it's not going too well.
Still, Sam Curran got 27 not out. So he was a good selection. Yes, it's not been pretty watching. I think India got a little fortunate with the odd dismissal. Dan Lawrence, perhaps, that little strangle down the leg side, but notwithstanding, they bowled superbly, did India today. Left alone by Rahul, playing inside the line of the ball. Ball that moves away, deviates slightly into the gloves of Butler, and there is no run. I thought Bumrah was just wonderful to watch at points today, wasn't he? Just lovely to watch him bowl. And Shami.
I heard you said it in between innings, the unluckiest bowler last time in 2018. Well, I think I must have played a miss 35-40 times at him, but he got a little bit lucky. He's a fantastic bowler. Bumrah.
Anderson is in, and that swings. He's pushed into the offside. They think of a run. He's sent back. Is Rahul by Sharma, as that was played off the front foot into a bit of a gap. But there was a bit of movement there from Anderson. It started going down towards middle and leg, and it just straightened.
He has swung it. But Bumrah's so hard to line up. I know we all talk about nice actions to see as a batsman. But with Bumrah's action, his run-up, which is obviously it starts a bit of a walk, a bit more of a walk, but a bit quicker, then slow down. Then he finally gets going, and he only gets going probably 10 yards away from what he needs to bowl. And trying to get your triggers and your timing right takes...
Anderson in, that's pushed by Rahul to Bairstow at point again along the ground. There's no run.
It takes a while to find that rhythm against him, and he's unerringly accurate. With an action like that, you'd think he wouldn't be that accurate, but he really is accurate. And I mean, his record, I think he's been averaging 30 odd the last couple of years in Test cricket. So he hasn't started off at 19 for 2 years and then at 30. So he's actually had a little bit of a lean period for him. But you see bowling like that this summer if he stays fit.
Can you get more used to it? I mean, people used to say that facing Brett Lee, even though he's really quick, because it had this rhythmical flow, you could. But I don't know how you do with Bumrah. I don't know where you sort of get used to it. Anderson is in. That's thick outside half of the bat. Played to Bairstow at point. You can ruminate on that, Alistair Cook, and I will make way for Jonathan Agnew with India 7 without loss after 3 overs.
Not that Brett Lee was ever, I would say, nice to face down, but he had a nice seeing action, so you got a nice picture as he let go of the ball, so picking up length was a tad easier than, say, someone like Malinga or Bumrah, where when you have a slightly unusual action as a batsman, seeing something unexpected, it just takes a while for you to pick up those clues. And say Rory Burns today with those first 4 balls which he pushed across Rory Burns, and then with the very, very similar action but not the same action, to get the change of wrist to swing it back in, you need something to pick you up at 85, 86 miles an hour. You need a clue to pick that up.
Broad's on his way, bowls a beauty. Oh, that's flew. It's hit Butler there. He only got one glove on it. He went straight to him, and that really seemed to kick off, and that's hurt Butler. Your left glove on it. It took off as it hit the pitch. Scrambled seam, wobble seam from Broad. It flew, and that's got him right on the end of the finger.
Horrible swing at the end. They're standing close. Is it you? Is it me? Even when Jimmy was bowling there, Butler was taking the ball closer to the nick. That's going to absolutely fly to the slip cordon.
There's 4 of them in there, and of course Butler behind the stumps. Broad again. England desperate for wickets. It's 8 for no wicket. Moves in now and he bowls, and that's pushed away into the offside by KL Rahul, sent back by Sharma. As Bairstow, chest puffed out, comes in there from point to field. So a lot for England to do here after that very disappointing collapse and batting performance. It hasn't been easy. There's no point pretending that it was an easy batting day, but at 138 for 3, Bairstow and Root going, they put on 72 together. They seem to have got through it, but the lights deteriorated, the floodlights have come on, the ball has swung all day.
Amazing the change, isn't it?
Yeah.
After tea.
Here's Broad, and he bowls outside the off stump, but this time there's no stroke for the right-handed Rahul. 4 ducks. It's been the year of the duck so far. Joe Root's at slip. He's trying to gee the spectators up into getting behind the team there. He's clapping his hands. Broad walks back. Members behind him. And Rahul over his bat again. 4 slips waiting, hoping for an edge. Broad runs in full of purpose. He's there and bowls wide of the off stump again. There's a lot of carry there. Butler taking that almost shoulder high. I mean, you're right. If the batsman, especially someone like Sharma, just puts a little bit of oomph into a shot and gets a nick, it's going to really fly.
It is. While standing there, Joe Root, I think I'll be trying to edge my way back. I mean, it seems to have certainly carried more here for England than it did for India. It's just the newer ball, I suppose. England bowlers know they've only got an hour to bowl. They can put it more in. I saw James Anderson bowling one at 87 miles an hour, which is quick for him.
Broad bowls. Rahul allows that one to go by his off stump, not too far away, but showing good judgment. Forecast not great tomorrow. It looks as if we should get a good morning's play in, but there might be some rain during the afternoon. So if you're coming, let's hope you get lots of cricket, but do bring a brolly. Eight for no wicket. And England will hope that cloud cover's around in the morning and there's long enough to play to get some wickets using that cloud cover. Broad again, kicks up his heels and he bowls, and Rahul played inside that. It looks as if he played a shot at it, but I think he just hid the bat there at the last moment. 8 for no wicket. So India are 175 runs behind, and England as yet haven't been able to break through. The two opening batsmen have a conversation. Rohit Sharma always looks so relaxed. He's leaning on his bat there. He's like someone who's, I don't know, sort of just digging in his allotment, really, and having a bit of a breather. Leaning on his bat, having a conversation with somebody. He's actually playing in a test match. Very, very relaxed individual, at least outwardly. And Anderson will continue from the Ratcliffe Road end. A lovely view of it through our open window on this muggy late afternoon. Sharma waits, bat raised, 4 slips. Anderson moves in, bowls to a ball that's very full, half volley length, really swinging away. It's that lovely length. Just saying, go on, I'm going to tempt you with this. And Sharma, who of course is renowned for playing his shots, at the moment at least, keeping them in his locker and playing very responsibly. Anderson right to keep tempting him. There's a nice big gap there in the offside as well. Say, go on. You know you can. You know you want to.
And you do want to, don't you, as a batsman?
Anderson again, bowls to him. Beautiful ball, swinging to the offside. Go for a quick single there. Robinson at mid-off couldn't prevent that. And I always like to see that in opening batsmen. Push them, take those singles. It's just a way of messing up the bowler a bit, and you don't want to concede the runs, and the scoreboard ticks over, and there are so many gaps. Keeper standing back, he can sort of a direct hit to run you out.
I thought you were going to say take one to the keeper.
No, not quite that extreme. 9 for no wicket. We're in the 5th over of the innings. Anderson's on his way, bowls wide of the off stump this time.
I think he tried the in-swing there, didn't he?
Didn't come out right. The wrist just dropped a bit. England's got to lift themselves. They just look a bit low at the moment. Not looking at the great body language, really. A couple of wickets would change that, and there's still 50 minutes to go today. Anderson on his way, bowls a lovely outswing. It's a beauty that beats the bat. And Rahul did everything but edge that, but again it did go through at a rate to the keeper. Can you imagine that being edged to root, or Sibley at second slip? It's going to really have an awkward height as well. It's going to go racing through. Beautiful ball. Just look at the replay of the scene. 9 for no wicket. Anderson bowls full, driven. That's a good shot. He controlled that. Played it, the ball right under his nose. No pushing out with the bat. Waiting for the ball to come. And again, it was that inviting length, and this time Rahul put it away.
It's those little fine margins, isn't it? Those last 2 balls, there was an absolute jaff of the ball before, but to get the nick, he needed to be, I would say, 4 or 5 inches fuller.
Yes.
He probably went half a foot fuller there on that ball, and he gets driven for 4. So great batting from Rahul. If Jimmy can find that in-between length, we are talking, probably 15 centimetres difference.
The bowl's a little shorter now. Rahul's on the back foot. Playing to Gully, who's quite deep. It's Bairstow, backward point there, really. 13 for no wicket. So India trail by 170 runs. They got all their wickets in the bank. And England already playing catch-up in this match. You look at the batting: Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Pant, Jadeja, Thakur. All bat. They do go bang, 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 9, 10, 11. There's not much there to hold England up, but there's a lot of batting there that, if in form, is going to be difficult.
But if the ball's moving against this Indian batting line, you always feel in the game. So England are below par, there is no doubt about it, especially when you get to 130 off for 3. But I expect the ball to move the whole of this innings. We saw the Indian ball move, we know the Duke's ball, even with when the lacquer comes off, it swings more than the new one.
There's Broad bowling, and he feels for that, almost edges it. But again, the edge not found. Alistair Cook and I will keep commentating away. But on Radio 4 Long Wave, it's now time for the shipping forecast. Lovely ball, but again, you're right. It's just those... And to be fair, it happened with India bowling as well. They beat the bat so many times. But somehow, when you've only got 183 on the board, you just need it so much more. It's just that patience, just sticking to it, running up, with bowling that ball there all the time. They'll nick one, and at some stage you can hope someone catches it. Broad again comes in, bowls, and Sharma drives that firmly back into his right hand. Broad fields neatly. 13 for no wicket. Crowd boisterous into that stage of the day now. Not too moving around, but chanting going on. Headlamps on the cars coming down the Loughborough Road to our right as Broad comes in and bowls outside the off stump. There's nothing from Sharma this time. He lets it go through.
They stayed, haven't they? The whole crowd. No one's gone home, have they? No one's gone home at all.
Well, they're anticipating England wickets.
I think we'll get 2 tonight.
Always the optimal. You've got half an hour to go, just about. Well, you get one. You do get a couple, don't you? Difficult for a new batsman starting. Broad stretching out, moves in, bowls to Sharma. That'll go for 4. He reached for that. Bairstow's after it with that little hunched run of his, and he can't stop it. And again, looking at Indian supporters delighted in the crowd. And very full. Not trying to hit it hard, just enough bat on it. Front foot getting into position. Beautiful stroke, bend of the knee. 4 from the moment it left the bat, and Broad knew it.
The little look at the footholes.
Yes.
The Indian fans definitely like batting more than bowling, don't they? They've come alive the last 20 minutes.
It's their batsmen who are the heroes, as they always have been. It's amazing, really. Broad again, bowls to Sharma, who just with an absolutely dead bat defends this. Broad will field it. We think of all the brilliant spin bowlers they've had over the years, and now more recently the pace bowlers, but it's still the batsmen who are the absolute icons.
So simple, isn't he, Rohit? I know his record away from India isn't brilliant, but as a batsman now, just watching him bat, there's hardly anything go wrong, is there? It's very limited movement, no big triggers.
Broad bowls, Tony works that away out to mid-wicket. He looks casual, but he's got time, isn't he? Time to get into the position to play. 17 for no wicket. Our long wave listeners have come back again. So India are 166 behind. And England were bundled out for 183. Root made 64. 4 ducks. Zach Crawley made a nice 27. Sibley 18. Johnny Bairstow 29, and Sam Curran threw the bat at the end to make 27. So they're rather blown away. Now Ollie Robertson's coming on. He showed a lot of promise at Lord's in his only test match. He had to serve that suspension, of course, in the next match. But now he's done all that. And he's back in the side again. Took 7 wickets at Lord's. And he looks a decent bowler, I must say. So he's replacing Anderson after just 3 overs, which is not a long spell for Anderson. Whether he's going to change ends, perhaps. Didn't bowl that badly.
No, not at all. I'm slightly surprised. I like it, proactive captaincy, and whether Jimmy fancies the other end.
So Robinson it is. 3 slips. Gully's quite fine. He goes in now and bowls. Oh, a really good ball. A good leave, and that the stumps weren't hit, but Rahul's smiling. He knows that was a bit of a misjudgment. He was expecting the ball to swing away. And actually it went straight. He left it. And the ball went, more or less right over his off stump, I think. Certainly very close to it. Very close indeed. Root there holding his head in his hands. Lovely first ball. 17 for no wicket. Robinson again, a very easy approach. Bowls on the leg stump. Work to mid-wicket. Beautifully fielded. Up there at mid-wicket. Lawrence again with this very oversized jumper. Is his Essex sweater about 3 sizes too big as well?
Not that I've noticed, no, but for England. But I would then look at Ruti's jumper at first. I don't know quite why he's got a long sleeve jumper on it. It feels warm, but they're all big jumpers. But
yeah, Lawrence is enormous. I mean, he's swamped him really. 17 for no wicket. Robinson stretches out. He's there and he bowls outside the off stump. A cut shot from Rahul this time. Not quite timed, so Bairstow had time to move to his right there to field. He's got a bit of mud and dirt there on his elbow already from diving around. An expansive shot that really. Wasn't a bad ball. Rahul 7 not out. Sharma 9 not out. India 17 for no wicket. Robinson going 57. Sets off again, his shoulders rocking as he goes over the wicket and bowls wide of the off stump. A little bit of movement there. But Rahul plays no stroke. It's collected by Jos Buttler. More gardening from KL Rahul. The cloud's broken up a little bit now. Some brighter, a bit of brighter patches around. But still the lights are on.
Got very easy action, hasn't he, Ollie Robinson? It doesn't look like he takes too much out of him to hit that length. And quick enough, isn't he?
Big shoulders, goes in again now. Bowls outside the off stump. There's a loose shot. Well, a couple of balls ago looked a little bit optimistic. Well, that he really flashed his bat at that, hands going through it, and he missed it.
It was probably there to hit. To be honest, well, it was probably 8th, 9th stump, so pretty wide outside off stump. Put his eyes lit up, and when you haven't had too much to hit, you get that ball, you think off 25 balls, you try and hit it too hard. Just lose a little bit of shape with your upper body.
Robinson moves in, bowls, a tempting width. Rahul this time has nothing to do with it. And through it goes to the keeper, so a maiden over. Ollie Robinson, batsmen have a conversation. There's half an hour to go on this first day. Certainly seen plenty of action. If you're an Indian supporter, you'll be delighted with the way the first day of this series has gone so far. If you're an England supporter, you might be rather rolling your eyes. You've seen it before. And certainly the question about England's batting particularly is what this series really is all about. Can they get runs on the board? Can they get the confidence in this batting lineup that will get them through this series and on to Australia? And I have to say, on today's evidence, they've got a lot of work to do. $17 for no wicket. Virat Kohli, on the other hand, who I see talking animatedly in the Indian dressing room, a big smile on his face, as Sharma prepares to face Stuart Broad from the pavilion end. 17 for no wicket. He comes in, bowls. Sharma allows that to go through outside his off stump. Buttler collects it, and Broad will go back and try again.
It's a little bit more on Rohit Sharma's career in Asia and outside Asia. This is his 40th test. He's played 22 tests in Asia, averages 67. Outside Asia, averages 27. But he's had a bit of a breakthrough in the last 2-3 years. Hasn't played many tests outside Asia in that time. So you would potentially expect, on the evidence of his form in test cricket over the last 2-3 years, that figure would improve outside his home continent.
Broad again comes in and bowls to plays that up towards mid-off. Languid forward defensive stroke. He looks a good wicket player, but he's got such a good eye. It's a late call for a no ball again. Stuart Broad's coming up to have a look at where he landed there. I think he can't really argue with the umpire now because it's not his call, is it, Victor?
No.
And looking at the replay,
it's a clear no ball.
It's a comfortable no ball. Have we seen any erroneously called no balls yet? Because of the 4th or 3rd umpire was looking at that side-on screen at full speed. It's always got the same problem as the man who's actually just standing over it almost. Broad again, comes in, bowls. Sharma allows that to go by outside the off stump. I mean, they're so borderline, some of these.
It would test your powers of concentration and stamina, wouldn't it?
Well, I think so. It's not like, I don't know, sitting side on at Wimbledon.
Line judge. Yes, you'd think they'd have a sort of rotor, wouldn't you, of people to do it. Who does it? The 3rd umpire?
3rd umpire, I think.
And then he's got, having done that, he's got to agonise over...
Review. Yeah. He's the man with the screen. He's got a big screen, mind you.
Right.
Broad again, bowls. Oh, and Sharma works that away into the leg side, off the pad. Ball picked up by Butler. That'll be a leg by. Another one to the score, 19 for no wicket. So 164 behind. Play will end at 6:30 today, or earlier, depending on light, but that looks okay for now. So another 25 minutes to come.
England will be desperate just for 1 or possibly 2 wickets tonight, just to pick themselves up from what could be feels like a calamitous day in terms of this series.
Yeah. Poor start, that's for sure. Broad over the wicket, moves in, bowls. Rahul defends that very late. The ball before rolls backwards, it comes down towards the slips, followed by Crawley. And now there's a conversation. No, Joe Root has run all the way down to Robinson to have a conversation down here at long leg. That's what that's about. He brought him on. We were a bit surprised because Anderson only bowled 3 overs.
Well, maybe he's going to take him off. Maybe he's gone down there to explain.
Yes.
So perhaps he wants him to go at Stuart Broad's end and let maybe Curran perhaps bowl at this end. Who knows?
Well, there's no furious warming up going on.
No.
Then comes Broad, bowls, and Rahul trying to work the ball into the leg side. It's trickled away towards his stumps. No run again. Yes, I wonder who he might bring on if that is the case, because Curran's not loosening up.
Well, it may not be. Maybe something completely different. It may be.
What time's our table booked tonight, Ollie?
Do you want another slip? It seems a long way to go to ask that question.
And rather frantic too.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see. But he might be sympathetically going down to give him an early warning that he doesn't want him to bowl the next over. That's my best bet.
Yeah. Well, we'll know in a moment. This is the last ball of the over. Broad comes in and he bowls, and that's played defensively back up the pitch for Broad to field himself, and it ends the over. What was that conversation about? We shall see. But I think Robinson's striding up to bowl it. Whatever happens, it'll be described by Simon Mann after you, Victor.
Yep, well, it's been a steady start as far as England are concerned. Most of the deliveries are on target, but we haven't seen that sort of vicious or late swing that we glimpsed at the start of the England innings, especially when Bumrah was bowling. Who knows what Root was talking to Robinson about, but he is going to continue. Both the Indian batsmen, especially Sharma, look very comfortable. He always looks elegant and relaxed out there, even when he gets out. He's easy on the eye.
Here is Robinson going into bowl to Rohit Sharma down the leg side. Rohit tries to glance, it misses. Taken by Butler away to his left-hand side. But this has been an exceptional final session for India when you consider that England went to tea at 138 for 4. They bowled England out for 183. And they are 35 minutes into a tricky last 55. And they have not lost a wicket so far. And they really look like doing so. There have been a couple have gone past the outside edge, not many though. And here's Robinson going into bowl to Rohit, and Rohit gets the bat down just in time there, inside edge onto his boot, rolls away into the offside, and there's no run. We'll get the overs in, or we won't get the overs in, we'll get the time in. There was a feeling earlier that the light was closing in a bit, but the natural light's okay at the moment. And if India can get through to the close, what a day it's been for them, or it will have been. 164 runs behind. Rohit 9, Rahul 7. They have to be watchful. There haven't been many freebies there for them, but they have not lost a wicket. Robinson bowls, that's close to off stump. Good leave from Rohit Sharma. Not far away from that off stump. We've seen a few of those today. Batters have left the ball, and your instinctive reaction is to think, well, should they have played at it? Past the off stump and through to Jos Buttler, who was one of 4 England players dismissed for naught today. Burns, Lawrence and Robinson, who's got ball in hand now, past the umpire up to the stumps. The bowl to Rohit Sharma, wide of off stump, and nothing there from Rohit Sharma. A fraction of a way swing. You watch Robinson and he looks steady, doesn't he? He doesn't look like a bowler who would have taken his wickets or whatever it was in county cricket 22, but he's got that height
and good control and a little bit of that away shape. I mean, these are all good ingredients.
And he did bowl well at Lord's in his Test debut. In now to bowl to Rohit Sharma, and he's stuck high up on the thigh pad there, looking to turn into the onside. It goes bouncing down into the gully, where it's picked up by Burns.
He's trying to find. Sometimes they get the pace. I think he's very early 80s, probably.
Yeah, well, the second ball he bowled his first over, which isn't necessarily a great guide, is you're feeling your way a bit, was 79 miles an hour, but that one was 85, that last ball.
Yeah, so that's quick enough for someone who's...
he's got other attributes as well, that height factor. Tall man. Was quite wide of the crease and struck on the pad there, Rowie, looked a bit high. There was an appeal, but it just felt a bit apologetic, really, so I've got to appeal.
It was a sort of apologetic Stuart Broad appeal, really, because he started to appeal and run towards the slip cordon without really bothering to look at the umpire very urgently. But I don't think he thought it was out. But it's a good delivery again. Played inside, it hit him far too high, above the pad, in fact. But it's a good delivery. He makes bowling look fairly simple, doesn't he?
Well, I think it's interesting with Robinson is he obviously played at Lord's, then he was suspended, but as soon as he's available again, i.e. this Test match, straight back in.
Yeah, well, he was arguably the best bowler at Lord's, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Despite everything. Took 7 or 8 wickets in the match.
7 wickets, yeah. And scored some useful runs as well. It didn't today. It was a rather very tame dismissal. A few tame dismissals today. Was probably the tamest. Yeah. Playing it to mid-on, not quite sure what he was trying to do. Someone moving behind the bowler's arm, and it's going to be Broad to continue from the pavilion end. 4 overs, 0 for 8. Bowls now to Rahul, who plays that as though it bounced more than he expected, but he rode it pretty well and guided it down towards Bairstow at backward point, and there's no run. Everything looked fine for England when Bairstow and Root were together, putting together their half-century partnership. Seeing that ball again from Broad, there was some extra bounce. Hit the splice of Rahul's bat, and he was riding it as well. And Root saying at the toss today, those of you who weren't with us, that it doesn't look a great pitch. And Broad rushing into bowl, looking to make the breakthrough. Then he won't do it there. Very wide delivery to KL Rahul. No shot from India's third choice opener for this game, really. Through to Buttler.
So the amount of swing that the two teams got inside the first 10 overs, India have got about 25% more distance in swing than England's bowlers have in the same phase of the innings.
How do you know that?
Oh, Crickfish tells me. They have magic.
How much swing do you need, though? That's the question, isn't it? Do you need lots of swing, or do you need just a little? Broad bowls, and that's an edge from Rahul, from a straight ball down towards deep third. Bairstow's after it, pulls it in, sends in the return, and they go through for a single. Rahul to 8 and India to 20 for no wicket in reply to England's 183.
But if you swing it a lot, you've got to bowl them out or get an LBW because you're less likely to get them caught.
Yeah.
And actually, that was sort of how Bumrah got his wickets. He York 2, he got Burns LBW, and the other one I've temporarily forgotten.
I need to have a look at my scorebook. Hold on. Burns LBW in the first over. Broad goes in, bowls wide of the off stump. Nothing from Rohit Sharma. Then Butler was caught behind.
Yeah.
One that moved and nicked it to Pant, and then Broad and Anderson cleaned up. Broad LBW. The plumbest. I think we have established it. It is officially. I mean, I don't know what
the plumbest in history of the game.
I don't care what CricViz says. It was the plumbest LBW in the history of the game. And then Anderson.
And this is not only because Broad didn't review it.
No, it was astonishingly out. 20 for no wicket. Broad into bowl to Rohit, who puts the bat there and angles it away. It's stopped in the slip cordon. He was looking for that deep third boundary there. Crawley stopped it away to his right hand side. I don't like Root plays that shot, using the pace of the ball, letting it come to him with an open face. It was well stopped by Crawley. That would have raced away to the boundary for 4. Crowd still noisy, thinned out a little at Trent Bridge, being big crowd on this first day. First 4 days of the series sold out. Forecast tomorrow, not that good for the second part of the day. Broad bowls, no straight from Rohit Sharma, away swinger. Well, went away from the right-hander anyway, through to Butler in England. They bowled 10 overs with this new ball, and they're yet to take a wicket. 20 for no wicket, India. So there's a possibility that this game is going to be rain affected, but it's made enough progress today, certainly as far as India are concerned. Project ahead, even if, say, and England will hope they restrict them to under 300, if they were to get 280, which is not a huge first inning score, 100 lead, and then you're under real pressure, then, aren't you, in the third innings of the match, as England found out in that Test match against New Zealand at Edgbaston. With the brittleness of England's batting at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, India, you won't say this, but in the back of their minds, someone will be thinking, if we play well, we only have to bat once in this match.
Yeah.
Especially if the ball gets a bit harder, a bit softer tomorrow. And there is more power in this Indian lineup, just when you look at on paper as opposed to in reality. More potential for runs.
Robinson bowls to Rahul. That's brushed away down towards fine leg. Curran is there. Sends in the return. We haven't seen Curran with the ball so far. Did see him with the bat earlier. 27 not out. His innings was cut off by the end of England's innings. The only 6 so far. What's going on?
Well, he's just rescued a ball that was thrown on and he's thrown it back into the crowd. And he got I think it was a ball. It was something round and yellow.
That'll lift his popularity.
Yeah. He's quite popular here anyway, I think. Anyway.
Robinson bowls outside the off stump to Rohit Sharma, who with great discipline allows it to go through. I mean, these are not easy batting conditions. These two have done well so far. I wonder if we're going to see Curran before the close of play. It's only 12 minutes.
He is doing
he's loosening up. Yeah,
loosening up exercises. Yeah, and I don't think he's just entertaining the crowd with them. He's probably been given the nod by Root.
Meanwhile, back with Robinson bowling to Rohit Sharma. It's full. Rohit plays a firm push, and Robinson stops it away to his left-hand side. If those spectators behind him had any sense of humour, they would do what the Australian crowd did to Merv Hughes all those years ago.
Or Ronnie Irani, wasn't it?
Was it Ronnie Irani?
Well, certainly Ronnie Irani had him going, and then he did a whole host of extravagant, very fast, and they copied him. And Ronnie, I think, sussed out what was happening and made the most of it. Maybe Merv Hughes did it as well.
I think Merv did do it, but then you're right, Ronnie Irani did do it as well. It makes a great camera shot. There's the whole crowd moving behind him, with the fielder orchestrating them. Full from Robinson outside the off stump. That was a tempter. Another occasion, I'm sure, in a one-day international, Rohit Sharma would have smashed that, or tried to smash it through the offside before. It was full outside the off stump. He allowed it to go through. He knows that his first goal in this innings is not too far away. It's 10 minutes away, which is just to get through this final hour, 55 minutes, whatever. And then the next goal tomorrow, go on and make a half century. 21 for no wicket. India are 162 runs behind on what's turning into a very dominant first day for them. Robinson bowls. Rohit is struck on the pads. A big shout from behind, but nothing from the bowler. I think it might have been a bit high. No thought of an appeal, or a review, I should say.
No, Robinson didn't even appeal.
No, strange one, isn't it?
I think he knew that it was too high. Again, it's in the right spot and it's hitting him above the pad. He is getting a little bit of life out of this pitch. He's beating the bat, but usually the inside edge.
3 slips in, a short leg in. 21 for no wicket. And Robinson goes in past the umpire now to bowl to Rohit, and Rohit plays if you're a bowler, on a depressing defensive shot because it looks so solid, so secure. End of the over, 21 for no wicket. 10 minutes from the close of play. Daniel Norcross will take you there in the company of Victor Marks
and Sam Curran, a blonde-haired Sam Curran, I notice. Well, he's one of the England batsmen who quite enjoyed himself out there, unbeaten on 27. Rare riches. Just wants that ball to swing, just a couple to swing into that left pad of the batsman. Surprise him. LBW, that would be perfect. Let's see if it does swing for him.
I've got a quiz question for you.
Oh, good. I've got my man here.
Yes. Well, I don't want him answering it first. Right. No, I want to put you through the agony to begin with.
Okay.
So James Anderson, as we know, has taken 1,000 first-class wickets. And I saw Andrew Sampson post on Twitter today that he becomes the first England bowler to bowl while he has taken 1,000 first-class wickets. Since whom? As Sam Curran's first attempt at bowling a ball has to be...
Just got to understand this question.
OK, so Jimmy Anderson has got over 1,000 first-class wickets and he's played today for England. So he's a bowler who has a 1,000 first-class wickets in his bag.
Yeah.
Who is the last England bowler to take to the field and bowl for England with 1,000 first-class wickets in his own burgeoning bag of first-class wickets? Here comes Curran, his first delivery with 3 slips in, and it's worked into the onside by Rahul, who thought he wanted to run, and it certainly was not there as it's picked up at mid-wicket by Lawrence.
I'm allowed a few goes. Beefy?
You're allowed a few goes. You are allowed a few goes. Beefy, otherwise known as Ian Terence Botham.
Lord Ian Botham.
Yes, Lord Botham of wherever he's Lord of.
Probably.
Yep. Is not the correct answer.
Is that too far back?
It is too far back.
Okay.
Now Zoltz is looking a little
He looks like he knows the answer.
No, I don't think he does. I think you've misread that face.
Okay. Buddy. He always convinces me, you see.
Here's Curran again, bustling in. That's weighted and missed. Oh, my word, that was close to Rahul's outside edge, and he was tempted. That ball did not swing back into the pads, far from it. It went across the bows of Rahul, who drove at it, missed it.
How about Andrew Caddick?
It's a lovely idea, that, isn't it? It's a lovely idea.
I'm going Somerset at the moment.
I know you have noticed this. No.
Am I still too far away? Too long ago?
Do you know, it's too close to call. Too close to call. I think it...
Tuffers.
PCR Tufnell.
Yeah.
Here's Curran in. That's driven into the covers where Burns does the fielding, and there's no run. That is absolutely the correct answer. I feel there are times when we do not give that man the great credit that he deserves. Over 1,000 first-class wickets, and there he was bowling for England. In 2001 it was, according to Andrew Sampson.
Well, it's probably right then.
It's probably right. Well, yes, I should think it's right.
Well, no doubt, you'll celebrate that with him tonight.
I bet Bicknell wouldn't have been too far away as this beats the bat again of Rahul. Sam Curran's come into the attack, and twice now in 4 deliveries he's beaten the bat of Rahul, and this one, it wasn't a loose drive at all. It was, we'll see the replay, it's a lovely one. It's swinging in and then it moves away off the pitch, and Rahul played the line of the ball, and it just
nipped away.
Past. Yeah, that's a lovely delivery from Curran. He's one of the few England players today who can look back on his work so far with any real degree of satisfaction. The other being, of course, Captain Joe Root. Here comes Curran. That's driven at and back to Curran, who furiously throws the ball in the vague direction of the stumps. Butler has to tidy up. He does occasionally have that look of a sort of extremely annoyed child who's been denied the opportunity to stay up and watch his favourite programme because it's bedtime.
It was also noted that Rahul took a stride down the pitch.
They don't
Can't
like
do
that
to me.
No. Sorry, Andy. Shall we come to you at the end of the over? We'll come to you at the end of the over. 3 slips are in, backward point extra, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a long leg. As Curran comes in. And Rahul, it's a thick outside edge on that, and it goes along the ground to Bairstow. Backward point, end of a very good over. A maiden over. And India are 21 without loss. 12 overs have been bowled. Rohit Sharma has 9, KL Rahul has 9.
KL Rahul, the last time he batted in England, he made 149 in the second innings of the final test at the Oval, but that was his only half century in the 5 tests in that series. In all, his last 17 tests, including this one, averaging just fractionally under 22. I mean, he had a very good run before that. He'd averaged 55 in his 15 tests prior to that. So it seemed that he'd broken through as a test player, coming towards the end of 2017, and had a significant lean run and's been out of the Indian test side since late 2019.
Well, applause was for Sam Curran as he went down to field at long leg. Robinson starts a new over, forward in immaculate solid defence comes Rohit Sharma. He wants a run that isn't there, and the sun is glinting through now. The lights are now superfluous. And India are 21 without loss, looking to close out the day. There'll be 2 overs left in the day, which will leave 8 overs unbowled, and there are many out there who find that irksome, but we've had that conversation to death, really. But it's sort of 40 minutes of extra play. I have seen people say, well, why don't they just keep going until the overs are done? Especially because we can keep going till 7:30, isn't it, in exceptional circumstances? Or is it 7?
If it rains.
If it rains, exactly, to make up time. Robinson in. It's a pad. It's a big appeal. Umpire has said not out, Kettleborough. And I think they will refer this. And I think we'll find that it's going to be sneaking down the leg side. Umpire's call at best. Root has gone to talk to Robinson. Butler's got a smile on his face. They're going for it.
And I think they need the fillip.
They do. I can't see this ball hitting the stumps myself. He was trapped on the crease, was Rohit.
For LBW, original decision is not out. It's a fair
You're
delivery.
thinking it's just drifting down leg side.
I think just a little myself. From up here, we're a long way away, as we know. Right, it's hit him.
Well, I don't know about that. I quite like it.
Do you? It's hit him. It's hit him on the knee roll.
Roll it through.
That's probably an umpire's
be any bats there, but can we confirm that with Ultra Edge, please?
They're going to check the inside edge now.
Okay, we've got a flat line, ball running through, clear daylight.
There's no inside edge.
All the way through to the pad.
It's hit right on the knee roll.
Yeah. There's no bat involved, so we can go to ball tracking when ready, please.
But I can see the off stump, and I can pretty much see the middle stump.
Okay, pitching outside off.
Yeah, you're right.
Line.
You're
right.
right.
Missing. We go back to Richard on field to stay with your original decision, Richard. You're on screen.
I think you're getting better.
Yeah, well, at umpiring, perhaps.
Yeah. I think perhaps in terms of your recreational cricket, it might be the time to make the leap.
Oh. I think you have to
buy a white jacket.
You need a very different temperament to be willing to stand there for 2 hours. Yes.
Umpires now 3-2 down in referrals. 3 have been overturned. 2 rejected and 1 umpire's call a draw.
Well, that was good for the umpires, that incident, then.
It was. Kettleborough proved correct as Robinson, with a steely look on his face, comes in with 3 slips in. The sun is now out properly, and Rohit leaves this alone outside the off stump. And there is no run. 21 without loss. England will have, you would imagine, 9 more balls. Mind you, that said, that referral's taken a bit of time out of the game. We might lose 9 overs, not 8. We'll see. We have had a lot of referrals today. We've had 10 wickets. But it does feel like we should have been able to get a few more overs in. Long shadows and these wonderful lights here that make these terrific shapes on the outfield. Shadowy shapes, of course. As Robinson is in. ball defended firmly by Rohit, who's almost in position to play that shot. As Robinson's arm comes over, front foot just comes 5 or 6 inches forward, and the bat is ready to come down and hit it right in the middle. England just haven't quite found those wonder balls that we saw earlier today from Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami, Shardul Thakur, and actually Mohammad Siraj also bowled well.
Well, Robinson has bowled well. He's got the ball in the right spot just about all the time.
He's only conceded 1 run in the 22 balls that he's bowled. He runs in for the penultimate ball of this over. That's defended again in thick inside edge and almost into short leg's hands. I think that's landed in front of short leg, who's fielding a little deep, perhaps, but it's easy to say that after the event. Now Robinson's now jogging back to his mark because
the batsmen are going to have a chat.
Yeah, England are going to want to get another over in here. And that, now there's synchronised gardening going on. This is an Olympic sport that happens towards. No, I've just seen it. You're watching the replay. They've had a beautiful moment where both batters came down the wicket and both tapped totally different areas. As Robinson runs in, shoulders shaking from side to side. Rohit defends in the front foot. There's no run. There to Bairstow, and England will hustle round quickly. There is, now then, is there time?
Michael Gough, he was...
No, there is not. And that is the close of play. And Butler's saying, but look at the time. And umpire Kettle was saying, that's not the clock I'm looking at. I've got my own clock. So India have survived to the end of the day, 21 without loss. The deficit is only 162. They batted very, very well in testing conditions against good tight bowling. England weren't able to make that breakthrough. And so they end the first day of this 5 test match series very much on top. After bowling England out for 183, England actually batted pretty well before lunch in conditions that were also tough, and they made it through to just almost the stroke of tea with a 72-run partnership between Bairstow and Root, and then it all fell apart. So we're going to have a little... Let me just remind you that all of that which I have told you of can be seen on the highlights on BBC Two at 7 p.m. Or you can see clips now on the website and app. And after an 8-wicket win for the Oval Invincibles women in the 100 this afternoon, their men play against the Birmingham Phoenix with commentary on 5 Live from 7 p.m. The players are now making their way off. Security guards are now standing. They're all in suits, also black suits.
They're green jackets of the Nottinghamshire Stewards, I think.
So it looks quite dark from here. It's like having some undertakers out there, and perhaps they are presiding over a rather gloomy scene of England being bowled out for 183. As the players now make their way into the pavilion, filing past and through the doors, and they will be left to contemplate and rue the day, rue what might have been. But good batting from Rahul and Rohit Sharma at the end there. Victor?
Yeah, a bad review actually spared them having to face an over from Sam Curran, who'd started really well. Took up a couple of minutes, and we didn't get that other over. But it's India in charge from the over before tea onwards. Up until then, it was an even contest. We were not quite working out who's going to hold the ascendancy, but from that moment on, from the dismissal of Johnny Bairstow just before tea, having put on over 50 with Root and batting looking relatively comfortable, the whole thing just subsided in a myriad of not through unplayable deliveries. There was the cork down the leg side, a spoon to mid-on, unlucky some of those maybe, but also signs of real rustiness and not in the rhythm of batting against a red ball. It was an unexpected collapse because you thought the danger was going to come from that hard swinging ball. Also should add, Bumrah in particular was terrific with the old ball. He got that ball swinging against England's tail to make sure they didn't stay very long. But England have squandered a reasonable opportunity to get a score that would work for them. India hold all the cards at the moment. I mean, they'll be looking at the forecast anxiously now, thinking, I hope we're not going to get stymied by rain in Nottingham, because they're right on top. And they'll be thinking, although not saying too often, if we bat well once in this innings, in this match, that could be enough.
Well, that's the great advantage, isn't it, actually, of batting second sometimes, because you've
don't
got
waste
your
time.
10 wickets out of the way. You've got the first 10 wickets. They've done that in, I say, a full day. It has been a full day's play. They just haven't bowled all the overs. They bowled 81. Well, actually, fewer than 81 overs been bowled today because we had the break between innings. But they will be exactly thinking that they can find and manufacture enough time over the next 4 days to go beyond England, put England back in, potentially win it by an innings.
You don't waste any time that way around.
You absolutely
they've got to do some hard work to do that, but the ball will get a bit softer after a while. England have just got a four-pronged attack, and they showed tonight, Sharma and Rahul, both of whom like to play their shots really, but they were very measured, very controlled, patient. Just make sure we're there at the close, and our captain will be happy, and he will be happy.
England, on the other hand, will be looking forward to tomorrow and thinking, well, we've seen the ball swing here, and we've seen the older ball swing. Alistair Cook was saying that the batch of Dukes balls they've been playing in first-class cricket this season have surprised him, that they've actually not swung as much in the first 20-30 overs, and then a little bit later on they've started to do stuff, and we know it swings at Trent Bridge, and we also know that the forecast is in and out, it's showery, so in between the showers that can sometimes work for a bowling side. They can go. Well,
it was interesting that Anderson, who is the biggest and best of our England swing bowlers, actually only bowled 3 overs. Or perhaps there is this notion that it's not ripe for swinging just yet. But I like your optimistic tone, Daniel, but I'm not sure I share it entirely. I mean, they've got a lot of work to get back into this game, and they are looking fragile. And taking the longer term view, it's the fragility of the batting that must worry Silverwood, Root, and those who are responsible for finding the best England 11. There are bowlers around. You watched Robinson tonight, just bowled 4 overs, but he's right on the money and looks the part. You can find bowlers. It's harder at the moment in English cricket to find batsmen who you feel, he could get 100.
Well, it's been 5.5 test matches that England have played now. If you think of the last 3 against India and then 2 against New Zealand, and then this half in which their batting has really, really failed.